Hi, hello. If you're watching the replay of this or you're new here, my name is Amber Plaster, and we're going to be playing through a very big story update for Genshin Impact. I guess we'll call it version 3.3 because we're in the third Archon Quest, or the third version update. Rounding out our time here in Sumeru, which was a new area on the map that we waited for 2 freaking years. And there's a new character that dropped. Behind me, you can see an image of him. I like this picture the best because, to me, when I think of the song that inspired this character, which is Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, his name is Scaramouche, but I guess as a playable character, we are going to refer to him going forward as the Wanderer. But before he was playable, before this version update, he was introduced as an antagonist who told the Traveler, our main character, that the sky is a lie. Basically, the stars aren't real. And everyone in this world, this fantasy world of Teyvat that we're traveling around and exploring, doesn't know that the gods are keeping a whole nother world out of our sight, I suppose, is sort of the idea. So he was originally referred to as Scaramouche. Sometimes I'll refer to him as Scaramouche, and sometimes I'll refer to him as the Wanderer. But the new playable character is the Wanderer. I did just roll for him, and I just got him, and I'm so freaking excited about him. If you're superstitious about rolling for characters like I am, I did use Chi-Chi in the fountain in Mondstadt, and I left a spot open for him, and that is also how I very superstitiously got Venti and Nahida as well. So that's my little lucky roll style. I don't think it matters. It's just the way that I do things. But I know that this quest is called the Inversion of Genesis, and I have done a lot of research on this character, and I'm so freaking excited to see how the heck he got an anemo vision and how he got here, basically. Because the last time we saw this character, we fought him and basically killed him, and then the God of Wisdom, Nahida, took him under her wing and just, held him in secrecy. And that's basically all we know. That's all I know. That's where I'm picking up on. And there's going to be a lot of lore and a lot of spoilers, so here is your spoiler warning. I always want to go to the crafting table. I'm not even trying to craft anything, just out of habit. I just can't walk by it without just stopping there. Ridiculous. Here we go.
Come on, serious suggestions, please. I'm not trying to write a thriller here. It's supposed to be an essay, you understand? An essay. That means facts and logic.
Well, if it's facts and logic you're after, you shot yourself in the foot with your choice of research topic, didn't you? The Tataris Suna mystery. When so much remains unexplained, there's little to be objective about. Unless, of course, you restrict yourself to textual criticism.
Yeah, well, this is my teacher's area of research. I can't change that. But it's fascinating enough without having to sensationalize it, don't you think? The strange location, the missing details, a mysterious person. I want to write my essay on something interesting, and I'm interested in getting to the bottom of all this. That's the only reason I came to you.
Yes, you came to me, so all the more reason to take my advice. The fact is, it's the dramatization that will make people want to read it. There's no getting around that.
Okay, but...
Did one of them just mention Tatarasuna? But that's all the way in Inazuma! Is it just Paimon, or is it kinda unusual for someone in Sumeru to want to write a paper about that? Everyone here's just going about their business. Maybe it really is just Paimon. Guess people here are free to research pretty much anything. Great! Let's go find out what this Tatarasuna mystery is all about.
Alright, the Inversion of Genesis. Remember, this character spent his early life in Tatsarasana. And we know that he had his second heartbreak, or second betrayal out of his 3 considered betrayals there. All we know is that someone learned of his true identity and became fearful of him. And then some short time after, people were looking for him, but he was already gone. And we know that the people he was working with, someone got angry and killed someone, but we don't know what exactly happened.
All right, I guess I'll go with my textual criticism and your editorial direction for the first draft. I have a feeling that the missing Kabukimono will end up being the main focus of this paper. If only we knew where to find that traveler. From what they say about her, this seems like the kind of thing she'd know about.
Me? If you're looking for the traveler, that's me.
Oh, you're the traveler, you say?
Hey, what's with that face? Don't believe us?
If you don't believe me, I'll go.
No, of course I believe you. Actually, I first heard about your great exploits when I was still in Inazuma. This is my first time coming face to face with you and your mysterious silver-haired companion. I couldn't believe my luck, and out of force of habit, I started, examining the evidence. Sorry.
So what, for the love of... Sorry, we don't get out much, so our social skills are kinda lacking. Traveler, I hear you've helped many people a great deal and been to many places. Would you be able to tell us about Tatarasuna?
Actually, we don't know much about that place either. In fact, we only came over here because we heard you talking about it and wanted to learn more.
I see. My teacher chose this area of research as a personal challenge. He said it's difficult to get into because even Inazumans don't know much about Tatarasuna's past. But
If you don't mind, I'd love to show you all my outline for the book I'm writing about Tatarasuna.
Hold on, Sawada. Don't you think that's a bit of a deep dive for a first read?
Well, fair point. In that case, please ease yourselves in gently by taking a look at Akaba's latest essay draft.
Let me give you some background. This all started with the discovery of some records in Tatarasuna. The writings mentioned someone by the name of Mikoshi Nagamasa, who crafted a fine blade.
That's the
But in the end, he threw it into a fire to destroy it, and killed his servant Katsuragi. Why? Well, no one knows. Apart from the swordmaker, his servant, and the one who wrote this all down, the records also mention a Kabukimono. This seems to be an Inazuman word for an eccentric stranger, someone who dresses funny or acts in an unusual way.
That's right. Akaba's teacher has spent quite some time researching these events on the ground. This Kabukimono lived in Tatarasuna for a while before disappearing without a trace. And shortly afterwards, as Akaba mentioned, things got pretty ugly.
So first this strange person goes missing, then a murder happens? Seems kinda fishy to Paimon.
Yes, my thoughts exactly. So I helped out too. I asked everyone I could think of if they knew anything about what happened back then. And wow, did I get lucky!
Stop shouting!
This part's important. I just wanted to make it stand out. It just so happens that a friend of mine works at the government records office. He looked into it for me, and I can now confirm that all the aforementioned individuals did, in fact, live in Inazuma over 400 years ago. Even back then, Tatarasuna was already at the center of Inazuma's smelting industry. The man in charge was a government official named Niwa. Curiously enough, it seems like he went missing too.
Wait, so there are 2 missing people in this story now?
That's right! What's more, Niwa is a name with a lot of history to it. Have you ever heard of the great swordsmith clans of Inazuma?
I have.
Oh, the swordsmiths? Yeah, like Ishin art and so on?
Wow, yes, you really know your stuff. That makes things easier. So basically, this Niwa was a distant relative of the Kaidahara clan, the last practitioners of Ishin art. Something then seems to have happened in the Kaidahara clan, leading to their downfall. I don't know the details, but taken in light of everything else going on around that time, it makes you wonder whether it's all connected somehow.
The Kaidahara clan?
Sawada, you left out the biggest detail of all.
Oh, yes, of course. How could I forget? Brace your minds, ladies and gents, for they are about to be blown.
Get to the point, for Pete's sake.
According to information acquired by Akaba's teacher, the Kabukimono was not a human, but a puppet.
A puppet?
The Shogun puppet that had the Electro Archon made. The Kabukimono has to be the Balladeer, but what was he doing 400 years ago in Taratsuna?
Judging by the looks on your faces, you do know something after all.
No! Paimon just meant, how creepy. The way you described it makes it sound like a ghost story.
I agree, it does. But considering that non-human races in Inazuma are by no means uncommon, spooky events are to be expected. And that's exactly what my book is about. Please, take a look.
Non-human races are not uncommon in Inazuma? Okay, let's see here. The Isle of Darkling Clouds. A man arrived in Taratsuna around 3 in the afternoon. From afar, he spied laborers walking along the mountain roads towards the factories, their shoes scuffing along the jutting stones. They walked like people convinced that so long as they reached the fire raging in the mountain's belly, they might extract from it the gems beyond price. The mood that the sight inspired was ineffable, beyond mere description for those not present to witness it. The man barked a cheerful greeting and sprinted to join the procession. There, a towering character who stood half a head taller greeted him with a heavy slap on the back, and yet his words were filled with respect. Do my eyes deceive me, Sir Miyazaki? Sorry, I cannot think that the return trip here from Inazuma City should have been easy on you. Miyazaki smiled like a young man taking the first steps on their journey, expression relaxed. Why, Katsuragi, Inazuma is the realm of the almighty Shogun. I sailed upon the fastest ship, strode upon the swiftest sea routes. What dangers could I have possibly faced? And what about the good news? There was some, naturally. The two burst into uproarious laughter, roughhousing with the other workers until the path's end. A young man dressed in a linen shirt and wearing a headscarf gazed into the dancing flames of the furnace before him. Now the flames of a forge are unlike any other, but for their intensity affects the resulting integrity of both metal and blade. So too then was the flame watcher an unusual individual. At his fingertips sat a lizard, and on his face he wore a smile. The workshop was huge, and the furnace was deeper within. A reasonable person might think that there should have been many working alongside the watcher, yet he stood alone. Only when Katz and Miyagi strode into the room did the watcher turn. This watcher was Niwa, armory officer and admin of Taratsuna. Born to the Niwa clan, which served as one of the 3 pillars of the Ishin art, Niwa never argued with his siblings and was a worthy successor by all accounts. That's a weird detail. The post he received as a result of his high standing with those in power served as a statement unto itself. Mia handed a well-bundled text to Niwa as he adjusted his expression. Said, "It is as you have said, sir. The elders of your clan in the city do not think highly of our plan, yet I still believe it to be a worthy try. As such, I have found the proper vendors and procured the materials that you requested." Niwa studied the text and nodded. "We should try some of these new forging techniques, whether Kaidahara says yay or nay." Katsuragi frowned. With a sigh, he said, "Forging is a precise and difficult undertaking. You know this better than most, sirs, and still you seek improvement each day with terrifying drive. Aye, should Lord Nagamasa hear this, the sourness in his face shall be hard to miss." Niwa smiled, replying, "And how goes the forging of your lord's great blade, Katsuragi?" Kats neither wanted to shame his master nor lie to his two friends, and yet he could not think of any way to deflect, and so groused, "I see your ears are as keen as your hands, Sir Niwa. The jokes of us unlearned men are nothing before you." Miyazaki hid his grin. Upon hearing this, Niwa released the lizard from his hand into Katsari's palm, but just as more words were about to be exchanged, someone came walking by, their footsteps light with the celebrity of youth, with the celerity of youth? The head that peeked in was round, and in the light of the fires looked like an oiled jewel. The young man placed some boxed food at the side, nodding. He prepared to leave. Katsuragi called out after him, "What about your share? Aren't you going to eat it?" The young man, upon hearing these words, found himself slightly at a loss. After a while, he answered, "Very well, I'll try it." "You are welcome to the food. We all eat the same fare, after all," Niwa said. The man nodded and left, seemingly deep in thought. Extract 2. The Kabukimono was by the coast. Sunset fell to the accompaniment of darkness. The bands of twilight showed themselves not, for in their place did thunderclouds roil, grumbling the omens of a coming rainstorm. Darkness filled the flesh of the sea, and the dusk bade the clouds to kneel upon the land, its supplication mirroring the Kabukimono, with knees bent and face pointed towards the waters. None passed that way, and none knew what he was waiting for in silence. Time passed, unmeasured and uncounted, till a black cloud suddenly tore free from the sky and began to circle the Kabukimono, bearing down on him like a nightmare. Though he was not aware at first, after his studying gaze was refined by time, he understood. This cloud had marked him from the very start. Outbound, a fishing boat drew near, the lights of its bow flickering in and out of sight beneath falling sheets of rain. A mist unspooled across the area, stealing sight from the fisherman. Repeatedly he exclaimed, "It is but dusk. How are my eyes darkened? Is there anyone that can deliver my boat upon safe tides?" Unlike a falling spear, the black cloud reached the bottom of the boat and was joined in its bereftness of direction. Like a charging beast, they plunged into the shoreline. Scant steps away, the Kabukimono stood idle, slanting his head to study the grand wreck. Not but half an arm was left of the one who had cried out for help, and with a plop, it landed at the Kabukimono's feet. He crouched to better study the object, straining against the urge to take a bite out of it. Yet he did not, for the dark cloud swirling down had already picked up the remnants of the ship clean. The Kabukimono stared at it blankly, like an awaking dreamer. When he returned to himself, the clouds had scattered as if they had never been there at all. As for the ship, could it have been struck down by a storm? Who was to know? Not the Kabukimono. Extract 3. Katsuragi rushed to the doorway and shouted, "My lord, things go ill at the furnace. I have searched for Sir Niwa, but there is no trace of him, and much time has passed since Sir Miyaki left to seek aid, but he has yet to send us any missive. Look." Mikos turned slowly, his face grave as one attending a funeral. He spoke then, his words heavy-laden. "I wish not to say such words, Katsuragi, but Sir Miyazaki may never return." Katsuragi peered past Nagamasa's broad, stiff shoulders beyond the windows. The clouds had boiled in waves of black, as if darkness now was the only weather, and might even morph into an abysmal beast and devour Tarazana whole. Over 10 people had already perished. That was why Katsuragi recoiled as if struck. Yes, it was coming back to him now in dribs and drabs. This is why they had set out to seek aid. Mizaki had been the first to set sail. The clouds had only just begun to form then. Traveling from Tarutsana to Inazuma to ask for support was normally no great feat, and yet there had been no sign of his return. Then a second ship was sent, followed by a third and a fourth, till the Kabukimono himself had departed upon the tides, under the foul skies and ominous fortunes. It had been Katsuragi who had brought him back and treated him as his own, and it pained him greatly to see the lad go. Yet the situation in Tarutsana was severe. Even should they sacrifice more lives, it would have been worth it to gain assistance from Inazuma City. Niwa was gone and none could find him. Afterward, Nagamasa led a search party into the mountains and the area around the furnace, all to no avail. Folk began to wonder if Niwa might have encountered an accident, but worry soon turned into suspicion. And they wondered if he had fled, unwilling to bear the sin of having caused these incidents. The people grew ever more suspicious, and Nagamasa himself strained against the discontent and fury. His face had grown to resemble the rumbling clouds above. Suddenly, a figure flashed by. Their presence did not go unnoticed by Nagasama. He drew his blade and cut, though he only nicked a silken veil the intruder wore. For a moment they swayed, and then, like a marionette pulled by strings, they moved behind Nagamasa, laughing darkly. "Are you seeking someone, my lord? Niwa, perhaps?" Nagamasa bellowed in fury. "You dare address Sir Niwa directly!" Yet the figure parted like mist before his falling blade, only to rematerialize beyond reach, but not beyond sight, a ghastly apparition indeed. "Was it you who slew my people?" Nagamasa howled and charged, held back only by Katsuri's desperate grip. As his senses returned to him, he realized he was but an inch away from falling into the furnace. It seems the rest of this work remains unfinished. From the existing text, however, it is apparent that this is a novel of fantastical, colorful sensibilities, born from an imagination well utilized. Whew! Okay, so this is more of a reimagining than what really happened, but okay, got it.
Oh, and please read my essay draft as well.
Oh, God. A brief analysis of possible events of historical importance in the Tarutsana area. This text belongs to a series of works sponsored by Humanas. I can't read these names. Lord. All right. Tarutsana area has always been a major pillar of Inazuma's smithing industry. 2 incidences have occurred here, and the details behind the first are vague at best. I believe, however, there might be a hidden history behind the events that transpired. Hence, this paper will attempt to analyze what may have unfolded. I don't really want to read this. Strange notes. The contents are as follows. Perhaps I overstep, but I think Sir Nagamasa's mood grows better when he forges blades. The obsession to cleanse the stain of the name Mikoshi must eat at him. Also, Sir Katz discovered a nameless eccentric while patrolling the area around Nasuchi Beach. I'm sorry I'm butchering all these names. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I'm butchering the names. They're very difficult for me to pronounce. The inspector bought a certain number of jade steel ingots. Sir Katz discussed a matter of smithing deep in the night. We made a single nagamaki, which I'm assuming is a sword. I don't know. We call it Dyatatara Naga. Oh my god. And he performed a sword dance. There we go. Just like the song. And we could not find it. The eccentric, the inspector flew into a rage and slashed Katz. The great blade cut deep into his flesh, cast his own nagamaki into the furnace's flame. Nas could only abide that order and drew... I can't. It's just... Okay. There has to be a better way to tell this story, dear God. The 7 notes mentioned prior have been scattered across the area. Among the 7 notes, 6 seem to be of good physical integrity. I believe the first 6 and the last are different time periods, though. Gulf and years between them needs to be verified. Rumi once mentioned the happily hidden tales of Tarutsana, hereafter known as Hidden Tales. that in the past, researchers from Sumeru have investigated their cultural histories of Tarotsana and Inazuma. A puppet did once appear in Tarotsana. Its visage was elegant, its apparel impeccable, and the way it dressed hid all the joint lines on its body. If no one were to mention that it was indeed a puppet, it would be hard to tell at all. Additionally, this puppet seemed to possess special joint lines that would fade with time, potentially even disappearing altogether, which would perhaps eventually make the puppet seem entirely human. The name of the puppet was known to almost no one. Some folk claimed to have spotted it appearing around Tarotsana, while others mentioned encountering it in the central regions of the area. Some even claimed it would frequent the beach. Tales spread of it standing beside the sea and gazing across the waters towards the city. What was it the puppet was gazing at remains a mystery. As mentioned earlier, the 6 notes all contain a nameless eccentric. Should the people of Tarotsana indeed have a puppet in their midst incurring mass panic, a good possibility considering the coexistence between yokai and humans in Inazuma at large, then the puppet would be very likely become a local resident. What is less well known is if the Kabukimono was just another title for this puppet. Perhaps it was because it was uniquely dressed to distract attention from its more special characteristics. Okay, so Niwa is an armory officer, Mi is a vice armory officer, and Mikos is the inspector. And the subordinate is Katz. And Kabukimono is Wanderer. Alright, cool. That's
Sawada was encouraging me to follow his more creative approach, but I think essays should be grounded in facts. I don't think explaining everything away with mysterious forces will cut it. Oh, how about if I plug the holes in Sawada's narrative with political intrigue? Like,
Wait, you're allowed to just make stuff up?
Yeah, please don't.
Akaba, look.
Please
Your
don't.
teacher has
Please,
researched this
please don't make up any more crap
I've
than you
reached
have
out
to.
to everyone I could think of. Whatever. Besides, if there really was a political power struggle going on at anything like the level you seem to be suggesting, what hope would we ever have of finding out the truth?
Good point. Okay, back to the drawing board, I guess.
We have some other stuff to do, so we'll have to say goodbye for now.
All right, thank you. If you find out any more info about all this, please do let me know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Hey, so that thing they were talking about, it has to do with the Balladeer, doesn't it?
Yes, let's get to the point.
Okay, then even if we did know something about it, we probably couldn't share it with them, huh? After all, we kicked his butt and got him locked up. Information about people like that is usually super confidential, isn't it? If you ask Paimon, Akaba should just pick a different topic. There must be as many essay topics as there are trees in the forest. There's no point in... Ah! Hey, did you see that? He literally just went by, over there. It looked like...
Oh, snap.
The Balladeer! No, it can't have been. He got locked up. Oh, quick, let's catch up and see.
Hey, McLeod. Yeah, sorry for the story time. I was not emotionally prepared to read some of the hardest language I have ever had to read in a very boring, convoluted order. I don't know why they are not just choosing to say something happened in the past. Here's the boss, here's who got killed, but dear God, that was awful. I'm so sorry. I could have done a better job of that.
Too slow.
It's about to look like Spy versus Spy right now.
Traveler, Paimon, there you are.
Tell me
Nahida,
everything.
bad news. We just saw the Balladeer strolling around in public. Did he escape or...
Sure enough, you're here.
Hey! What are you doing in the sanctuary of Surasthana? Aren't you supposed to be lacked at?
I know you must have a lot of questions. Please, allow me to explain. It was my idea to set the Balladeer free. We made a deal, and he's gonna do some investigation in Irminsul for me.
A deal? Huh. You sure you trust this guy?
What did you expect? Why do you think Sumeru would keep me around otherwise? Or maybe killing me is all you can think about. But if that's the case, why haven't you done it already?
Don't flatter yourself. It was... Nahida said there's still some mysteries in you to figure out.
So if it were up to you, you'd finish the job? Guess I had you all wrong. There I was thinking you were just getting cold feet.
Well, that escalated quickly. Not a good start. Could I ask you all to please calm down?
But Paimon's worried about you, Nahida. Don't let him trick you.
It's not every day you see people questioning the God of Wisdom's judgment. Just when you think you've seen it all.
Seriously.
Don't you dare try to drive a wedge between us.
As long as the terms are reasonable, I don't think there's a problem in making a deal. Even with the Balladeer.
Well, I for one have no reason to doubt you. Considering you even struck a deal with the doctor.
Yes, one in which I gained valuable information. You'll come to understand more about that in the fullness of time. The Balladeer's power was all but completely spent after your battle. He's no longer strong enough to be a strategic threat to us. That puts him in quite a precarious position. Plus, he's a former Harbinger with knowledge of many of the Fatui's sensitive secrets. Being stuck here in Sumeru could make him a sitting duck, depending on how the Fatui plan to respond.
Wait a second. Farmer? You mean he's not a Harbinger anymore?
I take no pleasure in saying this, but it seems as if the doctor had no intention of welcoming back a loser, so...
So Nahida found out that the doctor would not accept him back without the electro-gnosis, which Nahida took. But then Nahida gave the gnosis to the doctor, and possibly her dendrognosis too? I mean, he asked for it, and she didn't say yes, but she didn't say no either.
Sometimes it's you using them, other times it's them using you. Most human relationships are this way.
Apparently
Certainly
so.
all the stable ones are. That's how it was between me and the Fatui, and also between each of the Harbingers. So as long as you have some value to offer, nobody will ever abandon you. But after recent events, even I have to admit that I'm not worth quite what I used to be. Well, if the Fatui are gonna reevaluate my utility, I need to have a backup plan for myself.
As we discussed, I don't like causing harm to living beings, and you said you need protection. So, why not join forces with us?
I think these two have made their objection to that idea fairly clear, don't you? And they're your friends, so I guess you'll be siding with them.
Yeah, obviously. Nahida, don't listen to him.
Then let's put that discussion to the side for now. We still have time. Today can be a trial run. Where we go from here will depend on how well we manage to cooperate today.
Oh boy.
All right, then I'll do what we agreed.
Good. Go now, and keep in touch.
Nahida, are you serious about this?
Hey, are you seriously questioning the God of Wisdom
I
again?
have my reasons for this decision. In fact,
Smack her.
I'm largely doing it for your benefit. Yes. As I told you once before, there's information about your twin in Irminsul.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's the whole reason we came to see you today. So, you have an update on that?
Mm-hmm. You may remember me mentioning that the Fatui had not included your twins' details in the Descender category. This is an extremely important point. It's possible that the Fatui have other information that even I don't know about. And since the Balladeer used to be one of them, he'll be better acquainted with this information than I am. He was granted the power to connect with Irminsul when he almost became the god of a new era. Even though he no longer has the Gnosis, some traces of its power remain in him. He can still connect. The amount of information in Irminsul is vast beyond description. Sifting through all of it without knowing what to look for would take too long, even for me. So I asked the Balladeer to search in Irminsul for any information about the Descenders. He's more familiar with this kind of information, and should be able to find it more quickly.
Why would he be more familiar with Irminsul than you? That makes no sense.
Exactly! Or what if... Paimon just doesn't trust him!
I understand. But sometimes, everything is dictated by which side you're on. How things will go in the future depends on what information he brings back. And Traveler, I know what your heart desires most of all. Our minds have connected several times before. There is a corner of your heart reserved for an intense longing. A feeling of being all alone in the dark, searching for the one candle whose light still burns. As Sumeru's deity, it is my responsibility to be on guard against the Balladeer. But as someone who counts you as a friend, I want to do something for you. If this deal with the Balladeer can give you the answers you've been longing to find, then it's worth it.
And this is why it's called an interlude and not a story update, because it's really about the new character and helping the Traveler find their brother.
It's my pleasure, really. You're Sumeru's hero. You've more than earned it.
Paimon's still worried about this idea.
I was going to contact you about that, but then you suddenly showed up on your own accord. Seems like we have a telepathic connection. In fact, I was going to ask you to supervise the Balladeer on my behalf while he carries out the task I assigned. Even though he only has a fraction of his full power left, that's still a fraction of a former Harbinger. If you could accompany him, it would put my mind at ease. Of course, I'll be there to help guide you through Irminsul from the outside.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Prepare yourselves. I'm going to transport you into Irminsul.
I was just about to ask, so how do we get there? Got it.
Wow. It looks pretty different here compared to last time. The colors are gentler. Guess that must be because Sumeru's at peace now.
Okay, well that's good, right? All right. Oh snap, there he is.
Look at that. Hot on my heels. You know, you didn't have to cut your catch-up short just to keep me company. Oh, but I guess you panicked when you realized that I might enter Irminsul ahead of you.
Shut your beak, jailbird! No way a prisoner gets to be so smug!
I understand that prisoners have to put up with harassment from the guards. But right now, I'm on temporary release. So maybe you should think about backing off a little.
Sounds like a successful rendezvous. I need to be quite clear about something. In a few moments, you'll be entering into the innermost region of Irminsul. It is an environment like no other, and the most important place in all of Sumeru. Unlike anywhere else, Irminsul's inner region consists exclusively of torrents of information. You must put aside your differences and be extremely careful as you navigate your way through. I know there are many grievances between you, on both sides, but it is essential that you remain calm after entry. This is as much for your own safety as anything else.
Fine. Let's call it truce.
Let's cut each other a little slack, shall we? We are gonna be traveling together after all. Per my agreement with Lesser Lord Kusanali, I'll be at the front. It's my job to lead the way and get rid of any obstacles in our path. All you have to do is keep your pretty eyes open and try not to fall behind.
You sure are confident. Paimon will give you that. You make it sound like you're even more experienced at adventuring than us.
If there are no further objections, I suggest we get going. Or did you need some time to mentally prepare yourselves?
Ew! Ugh, the snark on this guy. It's unbearable.
Focus on doing your job.
We can start now.
Irminsul access granted. Initiating connection procedure.
Is this a small sapling? Oh, darn it! Come on, let's catch up with him.
Oh boy. I feel like this is going to be a long amount of time of Paimon saying things that I wish that she would not say out loud.
Wow. So this is the inside of Irminsul. Ooh. Paimon's never seen anything like this. And it feels like a sacred place.
Irminsul is closely intertwined with the entirety of Teyvat. Every bit of information flowing here means something. Pick your jaws up off the floor. It's time to go.
Why is it that Paimon just wants to do the opposite of everything he says?
Lesser Lord Kusanali, we will now proceed to the heart of Irminsul.
Can you still sense where the heart of Irminsul is?
Yes. Permission to begin searching for information there?
Permission granted. Go ahead.
Let's go. Stay close. Don't go running off.
There's nothing else
Hey,
here.
so, say we did go running off in here. What would happen? What are you smirking at?
I was just imagining the look on your travel companion's face if you went and got lost. Anything's possible in here. You can't rule anything out. So if you want to stay safe, your best option is to stick close to me.
I can do that.
These sapling things have spread out.
Those are all packets of information from inside Irminsul. Be careful not to touch them.
Okay. Packets of information. You know, for a game that's not supposed to be sci-fi and is pretty much fantasy, they do a good job of not turning it into something too
It looks
sci-fi,
the same
even though
in
we're
every
using
direction.
even though we're using computers and data and packets and stuff like that. They did a good job.
No wonder he mentioned about getting lost. Huh. What do you know? He was actually telling the truth. Is he mocking me again? What is it this time?
There's a time and a place to lie, but this definitely isn't it. So why don't you relax your guard a little? We're here.
What a huge tree!
Whoa. This is the center of Irminsul. All the information in the world is
Lesser
flowing
Lord
through it.
Kusanali,
Good, you made it. Are you ready?
ready when you are.
Then please begin. Preparing to access cognitive currents. Establishing waypoint.
The Balladeer's actually doing what Nahida tells him. Guess he must want to stay alive.
He hasn't put up any resistance. Maybe he had a similar role when he worked for the Fatui?
The rest is up to you. If you discover anything at all, make sure to share it with us.
Will do.
Huh. For once, we're the ones with nothing to do.
Traveler, Paimon, would you like to talk?
Nahida? Is this a telepathic conversation?
Yes. I've also invited Paimon to join.
Huh? What the? We can talk to each other inside our heads?
Yep. I'm guessing you don't want to disturb the Balladeer.
That's part of it. Plus, we're all friends. There's nothing wrong with us talking like this once in a while.
Paimon's never tried this before. This is great! So, Paimon's been wanting to ask you something. Don't you think the Balladeer's a bit of a walking contradiction? He's always talking back, but he seems to listen to what you say.
He seems to excel at doing odd jobs for others.
As I've told you before, there are still some mysteries for him to resolve. Things that are clear as day to me, but that he has yet to understand. Perhaps today will be the day that he finds some answers.
Is it about the past? The betrayals? And the other events in Inazuma?
Smart and attentive as always.
Caught a glimpse of a few things when I ran into Hephasia at Paradise DI.
So, you made contact with that part of his mind. Well, it's true. Betrayal turned the Balladeer into the person he is today.
Huh. Paimon thought nothing could get under that guy's skin. Turns out, he can get hurt and angry just like anyone else.
Everyone has a history, Paimon. Even if you're a puppet created by the Electro Archon.
Speaking of puppets, we ran into two people at the Academia today talking about an essay. Turns out their topic was about the Tatarasuna incident. Nahida, do you know anything about that?
If you mean the mysterious events, the Kabukimono and so on, yes. I know about all of that.
Really? Because from what they were saying, it sounded like lots of Tatarasuna's history is still unexplained. And most of the information we have now is just from people filling the gaps with their imagination. At least that's what they thought.
Oh? How interesting. Those two managed to deduce quite a lot through guesswork alone.
So the Gese got it right?
Well, they guessed right about one thing. Tatarasuna was sabotaged.
Must be a riveting conversation you three are having. Funny how all the good ones happen when I'm not involved.
What makes you think we're talking to each other?
Don't insult me. You're having a private conversation without me. Obviously, I must be the topic of said conversation.
It's always funny to me when people talk and they think that no one else knows that they're gossiping. That's a funny thing to me.
Of course you do. You can't have your prisoner knowing too much.
So, have you found anything yet?
Still looking. Don't get your hopes up, though. You and your twin come from outside this world. It wouldn't surprise me if there was nothing on either of you in Irminsul at all.
Wait, how did you know about that? Did Nahida tell you?
It's not like we've never met before. And anyway, you're world famous. It'd be more surprising if I didn't know a few things about you.
Every conversation with you is hard work.
Right now, we have to keep the peace. I'm not interested in creating more misery for myself. And making cordial conversation is something I can manage. Huh? Wait.
This light. It looks similar to those saplings. What could it be?
Kind of looks like it could be a torch, too.
Anonymous data.
Hey, don't you forget the agreement. You have to share it with us.
Shh. Just wait.
Mr. Niwa, are you certain this is worth the risk? We are talking about Tatarasuna's furnace, after all. It may not pay to act rashly.
There's no one else who can enter the furnace. It has to be me.
Is that so? Well, since you insist.
It's...
Neo is the man in charge. Plus he belongs to the lineage of Ishin arts.
I have been in Tatarasuna for some time now. You have shown me great hospitality, as has Mikoshi Nagamasa, and indeed, everyone else. Under your leadership, Tatarasuna is a warm, welcoming place, like a giant village. People are gainfully employed, their lives have purpose. They are motivated. As I understand, the Raiden Shogun has, in recent years, eliminated much of the evil that plagued Inazuma. As for Tatarasuna, it was originally established as a means of safely disposing crystal marrow. The forging industry with crystal marrow as a raw material has since flourished, giving rise to generations of swordsmiths. Some world-renowned, others unknown, all passing on their legacy.
Why is he talking
Skills,
weird?
blood, dreams. Every smith brought into this trade looks to find their purpose between steel and blade. That is why you accepted the proposal brought to you by myself and Akame.
Yes, well, were it not for you coming to Inazuma and happening to make Akame's acquaintance, the two of you never would have joined forces. And he would be the first to admit that there's no way he could have revolutionized our forging process like this on his own. At least not on the same timescale. You allowed Akame to take all the credit for a method that you jointly developed. He sold it to me, and now every piece of ore here is smelted using the new technique. Even now, you remain one of Tatarasuna's key consultants, working right here alongside us. I believe it is you, sir, who are truly responsible for the changes in our manufacturing and forging methods.
You flatter me. From the outset, I saw much that was commendable in the forging industry of Inazuma.
He looks like he's
And it
from
has been my
Fontaine.
great honor to befriend you all.
So you say, Escher. But is this really the truth?
My good sir, what do you mean?
I tried to resist thinking it was all connected. Because I didn't want to speculate. And I didn't want to believe that things could turn out this way. What have we gained from adopting your new technology? Ominous black smoke? Mounting production problems? Worker fatigue and casualties are up and continuing to rise at an alarming rate. And recently, as you well know, someone died because of that strange filth inside the furnace. We've kept the truth from spreading outside, but still, I suspect you understand it better than I do. None of the people who went out to get help have come back. Now, our mutual friend, the Kabukimono, is taking the Golden Feather to Narukami Island to seek an audience with Shogun. This is our last hope. But that doesn't faze you, does it, Escher? Nothing does. Otherwise, why would you still be standing there with that smile on your face?
I'm just surprised that you finally chose to be so sincere. I'm sure you've been harboring these suspicions for quite some time.
Mikoshi Nagamasa may have noticed that there was one common denominator among all these events. Namely you, Escher. But Mr. Mikoshi is more cautious than I. He does things by the book.
After all, Nagamasa is the adopted son of Mikoshi Torichio, the yokai struck down by the Shogun's own hand. If he truly seeks to redeem his family's honor, an abundance of caution is well advised.
You're well informed on the subtleties of his situation for a mechanic all the way from Fontaine. Are you sure you're not a little overqualified?
Why, Mr. Niwa, are you suggesting I find a job as a diplomat? Sadly, I am so very attached to my craft.
Enough, Escher. I'm here because an evil force is raging inside the furnace. And someone needs to take your new device inside the high-risk zone so we can absorb it and put an end to the problem. I'm in charge here. And I'm about to take some responsibility and head inside. Probably to my death. But what about you? What are you still doing here?
Judging from the look in your eyes, you don't seem to trust me.
Drop the act! We're past that now. Whoever you are, it looks like your plan to destroy Tatarasuna has worked. I just want to know what you're still doing here. What's left? Don't you have all your answers by now?
Honestly, I'm just waiting for the right moment. A moment like this, where you finish talking and I stop you from entering the furnace.
You...
You're a little smarter than I initially gave you credit for. I thought I'd disguised myself exceptionally well, at least for the first few days. But to my surprise, you had your people look into my background right from the start. It's a long journey from Inazuma to Fontaine, but that didn't stop them. Eventually, they managed to confirm that Escher was an alias, and that I was not from Fontaine at all.
Oh.
And yet, despite all of that, you still fail to realize my true identity, and what I seek in Tatarasuna.
Did you really think you would be able to see through my plan?
If you kill me,
What?
there's no one who can get inside the furnace. So you're really going to destroy this place? Is that it?
Oh, but you're quite wrong. There is one other person. Some may not see him as a person, but you told him yourself. You're not a puppet. You're a human. You're just missing a heart.
Whoever you're working for won't get away with this. They'll be found out. But this makes no sense. What are you really trying to accomplish?
Trying to recognize this voice. I recognize his
all
voice.
this trouble?
It's no trouble at all. Patience is a virtue which I have in abundance. This is all part of a carefully controlled experiment. If you must know, I'm happy to divulge my true identity. I'm a Fatui harbinger. Call me the Doctor.
The Fatui? Who?
Wow.
What do you want?
Wow.
Just to create a minor inconvenience for your nation.
That's it? That's why you gave us your cursed technology? Just to let loose the evil energy from the crystal marrow?
Look how even the righteous soul is filled with venom when faced with its demise. My device functions precisely as you say. It is the only chance you have of preventing a catastrophe and keeping the truth from the outside world. However, I did not make it with you in mind. It is easier for a person to be possessed by evil spirits when they are filled with hate. So give in to your fury. I want to see what happens when a malevolent heart is placed into an unsuspecting puppet. Make no mistake, even without you, that pure, innocent puppet would only end up being used by someone else instead. What other reason would a human have for befriending one who is not of our kind?
Uh-oh.
If you give him my heart, tell him that both Nagamasa and I see him as one of us. He has nothing to prove to anyone. Because not everyone just wants to use other people.
That's right.
The only ones who think like that are people like you.
Good.
What a beautiful way to see the world. It almost makes me feel a little guilty. Then out of respect for you, I shall redefine myself. Think of me as a monster or a demon, if you wish. At least this way your death is not a consequence of your own folly turning you into an easy target. You simply lost to something more powerful than you could ever hope to defeat. I say, Mr. Niwa, let's see what happens. Will your puppet friend become a human? No, that will prove quite impossible. Mr. Niwa? Already dead. What a pity. Jester, I have completed the task you gave me. Creating a gap and infiltrating Inazuma's inner workings. What fun it was. I'd like to introduce a puppet to you. If he proves useful, let's make him our newest comrade. And if not, let's turn him to dust.
Yeah, he heard that. Yeah.
Hey, are you alright?
Dottore? Dottore!
Yeah.
Good. Good.
Was that the doctor? Did he turn into a mechanic from Fontaine?
Yeah, I think he was behind a lot of the Balladeer's betrayals. I was thinking about that the other day, how the first betrayal was his mom abandoning him, supposedly. The second one was his friend betraying him, or something going wrong at work and losing his job. But now we know that the doctor really just turned everyone against him by putting them in danger and just kind of used what was left over. And then I was thinking about the child. There's a child that he befriends, and the child dies. And they said the child was ill, but the child didn't die due to illness. The child died in a fire. I think we're going to find out that the doctor had something to do with that fire as well. That's what I think.
But why did we see things from his perspective?
When I touched the doctor to confirm whether he'd eliminated all his segments, I read this memory in his mind.
Oof.
You have to admit, it must be the truth.
Maybe so, but it means nothing.
Does it? But this memory shows that Niwa didn't betray you.
Yeah.
He never meant for you to be the one to take the device into the furnace. You know very well what that means. Even more so than I.
His betrayal was a lie that he has believed for hundreds of years. If the betrayal never happened, it existed only in his imagination.
Let's give him some space. He looks really mad. Paimon doesn't want to be anywhere near him right now.
We need to give him some time to process his emotions.
Paimon's still confused about the Tatarasuna incident. So, the doctor was behind it, but why has that gotten him so worked up?
Nobody has ever deceived you like that, Paimon. It's natural that you find it difficult to understand. Perhaps he needed to learn this someday. So now you have the complete picture. Katsuragi took the Kabukimono to live with the people of Tatarasuna. Later, the doctor showed up, disguised as a mechanic from Fontaine. And that's when the trouble began. It was all a horrific experiment planned by the doctor. Everything he did was just to plant seeds of disaster in Inazuma that would bear fruit in the future. Of all the unwitting participants in the doctor's experiment, the Balladeer became the main test subject. After the events you just saw in that memory, the doctor put Niwa's heart into the device and handed it to the Balladeer. Then, he instructed him to enter the furnace and absorb all the filth caused by the smelting process. The load was far beyond what he expected, but the Balladeer survived. He left the furnace in sheer exhaustion and said to the mechanic, "This device seems to have protected me. What's in it?" The mechanic answered. Niwa fled this place for fear of punishment, but he left you a gift. He said it's the one thing that you've been looking for. He took it straight from the chest of one of his innocent servants. The mechanic removed the withered heart from the device as he spoke. The Balladeer was stunned that such unthinkable cruelty had brought him the thing he'd been longing for his entire life. A heart acquired through cold-blooded murder is a cursed thing, but it had protected him from the filth. He thought Niwa had completely betrayed him, and yet this very betrayal had ensured his survival. Overwhelmed with anger and sorrow, the Balladeer threw the heart to the ground and left Tatarasuna without looking back.
Holy moly. So the doctor killed an innocent man and pinned everything on the victim? That's terrible.
Being betrayed and abandoned by a close friend is sure to cause great resentment. Now we know what was behind the decision. That doesn't mean that vengeance was the right decision.
Yes. Only if he understands this can he choose a new path forward.
Tottori, you brazen-faced... Niwa didn't run from justice. You killed him.
Shall we see how he's doing? Hey, you alright? That's a scary expression.
Are you worried about me? If we didn't have such a history, I'd almost think that qualifies me to be your friend. It won't. I'll keep my end of the deal.
Hey, are you investigating the stuff we want to know about?
That's why we're here. But unfortunately, there's no information about the Descenders in Irminsul.
Even if you can't find anything, that seems to confirm it. Irminsul does not keep records on the Descenders. Anyone who comes from beyond this world is not counted as part of Tevat.
Oh, does that mean we have to leave empty-handed?
Don't thank me just yet. You look really upset. Well, since Irminsul was a dead end, I guess I can share some other info that might interest you.
Huh? About what?
The reason why there are records about your brother in Irminsul. It might have something to do with Conria. Apparently, Conria was his first destination when he arrived in this world. Plus, he only came to this world because the heavens responded to the summoning.
The heavens responded?
What?
The Jester told me this himself. You can take his word on this. He was a royal mage in Conria, and lived with your brother for a time.
The Jester was a royal mage. But I thought everyone in Conria died except for possibly Kaya and Dainsleif. I didn't know. Okay.
I don't know the details. It's up to you whether you want to believe me. All I can say is, I wouldn't lie to you about this. Did you get all that, Lesser Lord Kusanali?
Yes. Astonishing news.
Does this info count towards my mission? It wasn't from Irminsul, but was it valuable?
Very valuable.
Good. In that case, I'll take some time for myself now.
Huh? What have you done?
Lesser Lord Kusanali was right. My power's all but completely spent. Even if I use all of the divine power left in me, I can't sustain this shield for very long. I shared a secret with you, and now you owe me. So in return, I'd like you to answer a question for me.
I assume he doesn't want Nahida to hear?
Give me your hand.
Or maybe he doesn't want the tree to record it.
Can you hear my voice inside your head?
Yeah!
No, I can't do anything like that anymore. At most, all I can do is exchange a few words with you. So tell me, in this world, is it possible to change the past? Done.
Huh? What the? What happened? Paimon only saw you hold hands for a second.
She thought the answer on accident.
Nothing. I was just thanking her for helping me.
He found it anyway. Yes, he saw you hesitate. Yes, you can change the past.
So long. I suggest you get yourselves out of here quickly.
Uh-oh.
Where are you going? Hey, wait up! Didn't you say not to go running off?
Fast reaction time. But I don't think we'll be seeing each other again. From this day forth, the names Balladeer and Kabukimono will cease to exist. Those who died in Tatarasuna because of me deserve another chance at life.
Okay.
Hey, Balladeer! Don't do anything stupid!
You know, I never did like insects. Hordes of the puny things swarming together can be a real nuisance. And I enjoy nothing more than to stamp them out like the pests they are. But if a colony of harmless ants isn't threatening anyone, I guess they deserve to be left alone. Luckily, everything can be set right. It's time to solve this once and for all.
Balladeer! Balladeer! Uh-oh, he disappeared. Come on, we gotta find him somehow.
I feel like we should get Nahida? Mom? Hello?
Oh no, he's really gone.
Oh, can you hear me?
There we go.
Nahida!
Traveler, Paimon, Balladeer, what happened just now? I was suddenly cut off by some kind of power.
It was the Balladeer's fault. He shut you out.
I didn't think he'd be capable of something like that with so little power left.
Well,
Did he keep some of his power hidden when he was defeated? Or did he achieve something beyond his abilities, and it took everything he had?
Where the heck did he go? Ugh, it's all our fault. We were supposed to keep an eye on him.
Don't be. It's not your fault. Please, let me handle this from here, even though I'm not sure I can solve it. We're running out of time. Follow my lead and get out of Irminsul as soon as possible.
so... Okay. Where did he go? Ooh. Is he gonna change his birth records or something? He can change the past, but not really, though. But I guess that's all he needs to know.
We're out! And we're at, an inn or something?
This is an emergency. I'll have to ask you to stay here for now. Everything's arranged, and nobody will disturb you.
Isn't there anything I can do?
I'm sorry, but this isn't something I need your help with. Leave this one to me.
An emergency? How bad is it? Nahida, will you be okay?
Don't worry. If my assessment is correct, though there may be some minor disturbances, it won't lead to a disaster. Please rest and recover your strength here until I say it's safe.
Her voice has gone. Paimon can't shake the feeling that something really big has happened. What do you think the Balladeer meant? And why did he suddenly grab onto you before?
Paimon doesn't remember Greater Lord Rukkhadevata, and the Balladeer's question was a strange one. It's going to be hard to explain in full, and the truth might be very distressing. I'll skip the part about Greater Lord Rukudevata for now and focus on the Balladeer. You tell Paimon what the Balladeer asked you and what might have been planned.
He wants to change the past? But surely that's impossible! Right! You can't just rewrite history! All that stuff happened already in real life! It's like, imagine Paimon drank all the water in this inn. Even if no one was there to see it, Paimon would sure as heck remember drinking it. So, why does Paimon still have a bad feeling about this? Paimon can't help but feel scared about what he might do. Paimon's so confused.
Maybe he wants to erase himself from history.
Huh?
You okay?
Sorry. Paimon accidentally... It's the Balladeer's fault for causing Paimon all this mental stress. But erasing yourself from history? It's unthinkable. Is that really possible in Irminsul?
Not necessarily, but...
Uh-oh. Paimon's head is overheating from trying to understand what he's up to. And it's still not working. Ugh. Paimon's had it with that little brat. He's been nothing but trouble ever since we met him. There's no way he'll actually succeed, right? Otherwise, won't everyone who's connected to him be affected too?
If the Balladeer does erase himself from Irminsul, many people in Inazuma will be affected. Worst case scenario, it will affect everyone with a connection to the raid in Gokuden.
There's nothing we can do about it at this point. Hey, have you got any ideas on what we should do next? Seems like now there's nothing left for us to do but to go to sleep. But Paimon's still so worried. Paimon won't be able to sleep a wink tonight. So, how about, we list all our favorite foods to take our mind off things? Heck, if that doesn't work, Paimon's probably gonna collapse of anxiety here. Alright, Paimon will start. First dish. Munstack grilled fish. Oh, and chicken mushroom skewers. Tea break pancakes, cream stew, sauteed matsutake, and Drayon chili chicken, almond tofu, satisfying salad. Oh, also Adeptus Temptation, golden shrimp balls, triple layered consomme, lotus seed and bird egg soup, and...
Trippy.
What do we... What was Paimon supposed to be doing just now? Paimon was, talking? Huh. Paimon suddenly can't remember what she was talking about. What was it again?
You're getting so worried about the situation with the Balladeer that you just started listing foods.
The Balladeer? Is that a food too? Huh. Weird name though.
What? He erased himself?
What's wrong? Your eyes are like saucers. Was it something Paimon said?
No.
So, the Balladeer. Is that someone's name? 'Cause it sounds like a nickname or something.
Oh boy. I need to know what else will change. Paimon, come with me.
Okay, sure. Where are we going?
I want to go back to Inazuma. I called it! I knew we were going to go back to where he was born.
Huh? Fine by Paimon, but is everything okay? You're acting like this is an emergency.
Now's not the time to explain. Ah! Did he do it? Did he delete himself? Is he gonna bring himself? Is that why he has a different element? Oh my god, I have so many questions.
Of course. Go ahead.
Could you tell me that story one more time?
Oh. Now there's a question I wasn't expecting. Very well. I'll tell you what I know once more. The once renowned Raiden Gokuden, comprised of 5 branches. Amenoma, Futsu, Ishin, Hyakume, and Senju. The art of forging practiced by these 5 clans was first taught to them personally by the almighty Shogun. Over time, the 5 branches diverged from one another as generations of bladesmiths honed and perfected their craft until they became 5 distinct traditions. Most of the great swordsmith clans of old have since fallen into decline, and for a long time, only the Amenoma branch kept its art alive. But fortunately, Kaedehara Kazuha recently returned to Inazuma and took up the mantle of the Ishin art. Now, 2 clans remain of the original Gokuden 5. If my memory serves me right, you yourself were present when he forged the Ishin blade.
Oh yeah, we were! Paimon remembers that now.
So I feel like we should pay attention
about
here.
the decline of the Raiden Gokuden then too. It seems like such a shame.
Because I feel like something might get deleted later on in this storyline. We might want to notice it, but they're just going to have to point it out to me because when it comes to swords, it just, whoof, it goes right over my head. Okay.
That, my friends, is a tragic tale indeed. In fact, this was not made known to me for most of my life. All these years, I knew of those great clans' demise, but never the cause. Only recently, when the question was on my mind, did I ask Kaedehara Kazuha about this. He told me that, as we are both heirs to a branch of the Raiden Gokuden, it was right that I should know the truth. There is no harm in telling you, but I must warn you. It is a dark and sorrowful tale. The Raiden Gokuden were the targets of a murderous rampage by a vengeful bladesmith.
Vengeful? Why?
400 years ago, so I'm told, there was a catastrophic malfunction in Tatarasuna's furnace. One brave swordsmith heard the commotion and chose not to flee, but he rushed to the scene, hoping to prevent a disaster. Tatarasuna was home to a state-of-the-art forging and smelting operation in that day, and overseeing it was the armory officer. His surname was Niwa, though he had family ties to the Kaedehara clan. Knowing that they had just one chance to save countless lives, Mr. Niwa and the swordsmith leaped together into the furnace. The furnace quickly stabilized, but neither of them made it out. The smith's death, though heroic, dealt a devastating blow to his family's fortunes. His orphaned son was left to fend for himself and grew up deeply resentful at the world. In his heart, the whole of Inazuma was culpable in his tragedy. He hated the almighty Shogun for her apparent indifference towards his father's death, and he hated everyone who had done nothing to try and save him. Powerless and destitute, the only legacy he had to pass on to his children was his hatred. Generation after generation bore this grudge, living in utter misery. Alas,
I think this feels new.
if only the story could have ended there. But 100 years ago, the then head of this family reached the end of his wits. He could bear their fate no longer, and yet he could do nothing to change it. Finally, he made a drastic decision to take revenge on the Raiden Gokuden. In doing so, he sought to vent his pent-up anger and shake the very foundations of Inazuma's forging industry. In his fury, he murdered indiscriminately, killing even bladesmiths from the Hyakume clan, which he belonged to. His goal was absolute, the devastation of all of the Raiden Gokuden. But when he came to the Kaedehara and Kamisato clans, his killing spree came to an abrupt end. He failed to catch them unawares. They fought back, fiercely, and they did not spare his life. That is why the Kaedahara clan and their Ishin art survived that day. I suppose they were the lucky ones, under the dire circumstances.
The legend of Ringokunin has changed. Someone else attacked. It looks like the Balladeer did something in Irminsul, but it seems Niwa still died.
Was there anything else you wanted to ask?
I think they gave Niwa credit for dying, right? Because he could change. He can change who he tells his heart is, or like he could be like, no, my heart was his, and like there was a lot to do in that moment that he could have changed things around, and the one or two people in the room that mattered would have had to have believed him. So like I think they're saying that he like did the right thing by Niwa, but then unfortunately Niwa's son grew up without a father, and he accidentally made the same betrayal happen that he didn't want to happen, which is he felt betrayed by his own mother, who abandoned him. He feels abandoned anyway. And then he accidentally did that to the one person who gave him a heart. He went back in there to change it so that he didn't, walk into a furnace with a heart that was going to be used to basically soak up hatred. And so he was able to stop that, but in turn ruined the next generation, who grew up to be murdery, I think. But then the Kazaha clan stopped it anyway. But maybe that's like his karma. It's like he was able to change like one part of it, but there was still like another butterfly effect of the evil that happened. Unless you're saying you're going to delete Kazaha, I don't think you're going to delete a playable character. I have so many questions. Okay.
Kazuha? Why, yes. Just yesterday, in fact.
That's good.
We spoke for a while over some tea.
So he still exists. Woo! Things don't seem as bad as I feared last night. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Don't tell Paimon. There are other places you want to visit too, right? Your expression says it all. You can't hide anything from Paimon. On to the next stop. Lead the way, traveler. Paimon will be right behind you. We're here. This is the Yashiro Commission's headquarters, so...
Traveler, it's been a while. If you're looking for the Commissioner and Miss Kamisato, I'm afraid your timing is unfortunate. They're not here right now.
Are they out on business?
The Commissioner is out on business, and Miss Kamisato is standing in for some meetings in the Commissioner's place. If it's urgent, you're welcome to wait inside until they get back.
What do you think? Shall we go in?
Can we take a walk in the courtyard?
If it were anyone else, I couldn't allow it. But seeing as you're so close with the Commissioner and Miss Kamisato, I think it should be okay.
We'll be heading in then. Thanks!
Hello, dears. Is there something you want to say? Of course, traveler. Yes, I know who you are. Miss Kamisato has told me about you. What would you like to know? Oh, they're both very well indeed. Lately, Miss Kamisato has been rather busy attending all kinds of meetings and occasionally paying visits to some local organizations on the Commissioner's behalf. As for the Commissioner himself, well, you know, busy as ever.
Is that her brother?
That much hasn't changed. Although, he does seem to be in a rather good mood these days.
So pretty much business as usual in the Yashiro Commission, huh?
Very much so.
Okay, yes. far as I can see, nothing's changed.
Well, got any more questions?
That's all for now.
You're very welcome. In fact, I would love nothing more than for you to come and visit more often. But I'm sure you must be far too busy to have time for that. Miss Kamisato talks about you all the time. She seems so thrilled to have you as a friend, and she's always saying how talented you are, and I must say, many things in Inazuma seem to have taken a turn for the better since you arrived here. So you're not just Miss Kamisato's knight in shining armor, you know. You're a hero to us all.
It seems like whatever change he made, he seemed to make it so that it was advantageous to the traveler as well. At least in this pocket of the world, anyway.
I mean it. Whenever the commissioner dines at home, Toma always joins him. I always find myself at my most relaxed when I'm serving the two of them and listening to them chat away. The commissioner has such a busy schedule that he doesn't always have the chance to take his meals at home. But given the opportunity, he always prefers to dine here. They say it's because Toma's a much better chef than most. Oh, the commissioner is so fond of home comforts. They get to talking about you sometimes too, you know. Always with a very fond tone. The way one would talk about dear old friends around whom one can truly be themselves. Miss Kamisato occasionally joins them as well. Whenever the whole family gets together and they start talking about people they've met and experiences they've had, you always get a mention. It's been many years now since the late Mr. and Mrs. Kamisato passed away. As someone who is old and gray enough to have watched their son, so in the future, if you ever do have the time, wonderful.
Paimon likes it here too. Also, you were saying something about the food here being really great. Paimon's itching to try it. We may just have to invite ourselves around for dinner sometime. Paimon meant we should come pay a visit again real soon.
Of course. You're always welcome.
Alright, goodbye for now. Where are we going next?
Tatsuna?
Great! Goodbye, ma'am. Don't worry, we'll see ourselves out.
All right then. Take care now. Hope to see you soon.
Oh, are you two leaving already?
Classic Paimon and food.
Everything's taken care of now. Don't worry.
Very well. Safe travels. Goodbye.
Well, here we are. But what are we looking for? Something or someone?
Do my eyes deceive me, or is that the
no.
Traveler and Paimon?
Does that mean Dottore was Xavier this whole time too?
I was in the general area, and now I'm in this specific area. There, that's me. So what about you two?
We have some questions and thought you might be able to help.
No, sus. Nope. Nope.
Certainly do. I've researched the furnace here in some depth. If there's anything you want to know, just ask away. Like the back of my hand. Make no mistake, I have been here a good many times before. Not only that, but I've met people in Inazuma whose families used to live in Tatarasuna years ago. They said it's all true, the history here.
Go on.
Oh, well, it's a long story, don't you know? The tale of Tatarasuna starts a long time ago.
Yeah, I know.
I'm told that its history as one of the most foremost forging and smelting operations in the nation goes back around 1,000 years. Still, the furnace has had a couple of serious maintenance issues along the way.
A couple? When exactly?
One was just in the last few years, the other was several hundred years ago. A fun fact, I'm not the first Fontaine tech guy to come and work on it either. There was a guy back then too. They say he was a mechanic who consulted on a technology upgrade. It seems like the technological collaboration between our two nations goes back a long way. How about that?
Mechanic, huh? Looks like the doctor still sabotaged the furnace.
Weren't you gonna ask Xavier something about Tatarasuna? Come on, ask already.
Oh, I didn't realize you two were here for a history lesson.
Me neither. Paimon doesn't know what's gotten into this one today. Feels like we've been preparing for a history exam or something.
What brought this on? Did you just wake up today with a sudden burning desire for historical knowledge?
Pretty much.
Sure, go ahead.
Have you ever heard of a Kabukimono connected to Tatarasuna?
A Kabukimono? No, I can't say that I have. I do know the word, Inazuman for those eccentric types who always go around dressed to the nines. Just the sort of person that I'd like to meet, actually. But sadly, I've never had the pleasure, nor have I come across anything to do with a Kabukimono where Tatarasuna is concerned.
Did he manage to erase himself from history completely? Oh, I didn't think about erasing himself. That's an interesting concept. I just assumed he wouldn't want to. I don't know why I assumed that. Okay.
Of course! Don't mention it.
Oh, we're leaving? Okay, bye, Xavier.
Oh, you're most welcome. More than happy to help. Farewell.
Xavier sounds so much better than Xavier.
Looks
Oh
like
my
you got all
god.
the information you're looking for.
Still gonna probably butcher it, but shoof.
Sure, but what's up with you today? Whatever it is, it seems like it's really troubling you. Keep your smile, Spinal Crocodile. No matter what happens, Paimon will always be there for you. Hey, don't mention it. Alright, let's head off and go meet Nahida.
Okay. That was... I didn't see a dance! So I guess we're just learning that the Kamisatos were still there, and whatever he did, the doctor still did.
You think I've got a sharp tongue? I just tell it like it is.
Help sabotage
If someone can't handle it,
the furnace.
maybe that's their problem.
I feel like that's all we learned. I don't know.
Hey, it's them.
Oh boy.
Akaba, Sawada, you're still here?
You talking about the essay?
Indeed we are. If you have a moment, we'd love for you to join us once more.
We have time. What do you want to talk to us about?
It's the same topic we discussed last time. Obviously.
Still looking for more info about Tatarasuna, huh? Should we join them?
These two have researched the past, so let's hear what they have to say. That's a good idea.
Unfortunately, we haven't made any real progress.
Can I read it again?
Oh, of course.
Oh boy. Alright. Sorry I glossed through this earlier, guys. I knew this was up to being changed. I'll try to be more patient with it this time. Abstract. The Tatarasuna area has always been a major pillar of the smithing industry. 2 incidents have occurred here, and the details behind the first are vague at best. I believe, however, that there might be a hidden history behind the events that transpired. Hence, this paper will attempt to analyze the data. Alright, glossary. Tatarasuna area. Raiden Gokuden. This paper continues my work of the mentor and his report. Strange notes. The contents are as follows. 1. Perhaps I overstep, but I think Sir Nagamasa's mood grows better when he forges blades. The obsession to cleanse the stain of the name Mikoshi must eat at him. 2. The inspector bought a certain number of jade steel ingots. Sir Katz discussed matters of smithing deep into the night with the Viceroy Armory officer. 3. We last made a single nagamaki. We call it the Dayatara Nagamasa. Okay, that's the sword. The inspector was in high spirits, and he and the Vice Armory officer, Nozomu, was so taken by the beauty of the sword that he drew a picture of it. 4. The inspector flew into a rage and slashed Katz. The great blade cut deep into the flesh, casting his own sword into the furnace's flame. Nozomu could not abide by that order, and he drew a completely melted weapon out of the furnace, and he was horribly burned. Nozomu died that night. I dare say that while Sir Katz may have committed the malfeasance, it was out of the goodness of his heart. 6. Kinjiro had hid the sword and Nozumu's drawing in the arsenal. Nagamasa is harsh, but also knows right from wrong. But even so, he is not amenable to reason. His name indicates one obsessed with purity. Still, I had some households of Tarotsana have not been blinded by the matter of Nagamasa's mother in Shiyu, and we trust him. I also remain unwilling to forget the joy of creating the sword with him. Oh, okay. 7. Before we withdrew, we should have divided the arsenal key into 3 parts. 1 for the inspector, 1 for the armory officer, and 1 to be left in Tarotsana itself to prevent theft. I think we found that earlier in Inazuma. But we were in too much of a hurry, and neither the inspector nor the armory officer could be found. So I was as bold to hide the 3 pieces within treasure chests in Tarotsana. Okay, yeah, we did find that. Interesting. Weird. Seems like the history that we remember as playing the game, anyway. The 7 notes mentioned prior have been scattered across the Tarotsana area. Among the 7 notes, 6 seem to be of good physical integrity. Okay, that all seems to be the same. In the past. Thank you, God. Here we go. Yet the elders among the locals with deeper ties to the region also seem to stress the fact that there were strange rumors surrounding the homeland's past. Okay. Here's supposedly is what changed. A great many of these rumors revolved around the yokai, who are so very characteristic of Inazuman's folk history. A small portion, however, repeatedly mentions the word outsider. It should be known that the appearance of such a character, who is suspected to be based on a real person, is a very curious case. This fact drew attention of the researchers to delve further, and, eventually, the following pieces of information came to light. A foreign mechanic once visited Tarotsana. We think that's the doctor. Reportedly, the reason for his immigration was to exchange knowledge and to forge ties with the locals. However, the mechanic seemed to behave suspiciously, often wandering around essential or restricted areas, and someone tried to turn him away. And if someone tried to turn him away, they would only earn incomprehensible mumbles from his lips. The mechanic often stared into the furnace, seemingly to check on its condition. Unsettlingly, he also spent a substantial amount of time watching the local residents. Judging from the era, it was not uncommon to see cross-cultural exchanges of technical knowledge in places such as Tarotsana. After traveling across the tides, foreign experts began welcoming in the region Foreign experts being welcome in the region was not unreasonable either. Yet calamity came not long after this exchange of knowledge, which hints at his high potential for causation between these events. However, some current residents believe that these assumptions were merely the result of their forebears' overactive imaginations attempting to theorize how things actually unfolded. A list of individuals related to Tarotsana has been compiled here. Armory Officer Niwa. His eventual whereabouts are unknown, but he was suspected to have left Tarotsana with his family following the incident, so we think Niwa lived. Vice Armory Officer Miyazaki. Second in command, origins unknown, He was of affable temperament and had many friends in the region, including one Mikoshi. Inspector Mikoshi, the successor of the clan, adopted son of Oni warrior Mikoshi Chiono, and the younger adopted brother of Mikoshi, someone else, also known as the Iwakura, the successor. With a mother missing and abandoned by his brother, Nagamasa alone bore the family name, striving daily to wipe the shame from their history. The records state that Mikoshi was a stubborn figure. He was also noted to be a person of moral virtue and integrity. It has been noted with various records that he practiced forging swords for self-cultivation and specially requested special instruction from Miyazaki to further his capabilities. However, after the famous blade, the Daitatara Nagamasa, he was forged, he used it to slay his subordinate, Katsuragi, for reasons unknown at present. Subordinate Katsuragi's full name remain unknown. Despite all the materials I sorted through, I have yet to find any more additional personal information. As one of the subordinates, he was a loyal warrior who had been saved by Nagamasa in his youth. From then on, he swore to stick by his lord through thick and thin, and to give his life in service of it, but it was asked of him. Okay, so Kat still died. The mechanic. Long I have delved through many texts and documents, but I was ultimately unable to decipher a specter of a clue. That's a weird way to say it. A ghost of a clue as to his background. Still mentions the mechanic grew scarcer in the aftermath of Tarutsuna incident. I speculate that instead of the mechanic possibly being a figure woven from overripe imaginations, he did actually exist and perhaps even had a hand in the events that took place in Tarutsuna.
I presume you'll want to read mine as well. Here.
I don't know about this. All right. The Isle of the Darkling Clouds, Extract 1. A man arrived in Tarutsuna around 3 in the afternoon. Oh boy. Did something change? Maybe you could just point out the part that changed to me, possibly. Yeah, alright, cool. Katsuragi neither wanted to shame his master nor lie to his two friends, and yet he could not think of any way to deflect, so he groused. I see your ears are as keen as your hands, Sir Niwa. The jokes of us unlearned men are as nothing before you. Miyazaki hid his grin. Upon hearing this, Niwa released the lizard from his hand into Katsuragi's palm, but just as more words were being exchanged, someone came walking nearby, their footsteps steady and confident. The head that appeared by the door was that from one from abroad. The newcomer placed some lunch boxes to one side, nodded, and made to leave. Katsuragi called out after him, Sir, what about your meal? Are you not hungry? The man, not boy, smiled upon hearing Katsuragi's word. I already ate. I hope that you, my lords, may also find time to sate your hunger soon. You are our guest, sir. To see you help these trifling matters fills me with embarrassment, Niwa said with sincerity. The man smiled, as if it were no matter. Then, with a nod, he departed. I feel like that's the moment he entered back in time. Repeatedly he exclaimed, It is but dusk. How are my eyes darkened? Is there anyone that can deliver my boat upon safe tides? Like a falling spear, a black cloud reached the bottom of the boat, and it was joined in its bereftness of direction. Like a charging beast, they plunged into the shoreline. Scant steps away, the mechanic laughed, slowly approaching the grand wreck. Not but half an arm was left of the one who had cried out for help, and with a plop it landed at the mechanic's feet, who crouched to better study the object, straining against the urge to take a bite. Yet he did not, for the dark clouds swirling down had already picked the remnants of the ship clean. It's gross that he talks about eating the arm both times, as a boy and as a man. Traveling from Tarutsuna to Inazuma to ask for support was normally no great feat, and yet there had been no sign of his return. Then a second ship was sent, followed by a third and a fourth. Each who left to seek salvation did so under foul skies and oblique fortunes. Reason dictated that they should not have risked anyone else, but the situation in Tarotsana was severe. They needed to gain aid from Inazuma, even should it cost them more lives. The content has changed. Another effect of tampering with the information.
Well, what do you think?
Hey, Traveler. Remember how last time Akaba was saying how he wished he could gather more information about all this? Well, we just got back from Inazuma. So how about we tell them what we learned?
I kind of feel like we should wait till we know more information so that we're like not hurting multiple timelines, but seeing as we only have one option.
What did you find out? Something big?
It's a long story. Basically, we have some friends in Inazuma, and...
Wow, so many new details. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Well, well. So it all comes down to one man's desire for revenge. Huh. You heard this from a member of the Armanoma clan, you say? Then I guess it must be true. Ugh. So there's no ghost story here
Well
after
done.
all.
This new information actually lends further credence to my hypothesis. Evidently, swordsmiths were seen as having an incredibly prestigious role in society those days, to the extent that harming them was conceived of, at least by the perpetrator, as a way of exacting revenge against those in power.
Yes, okay, point taken, you were right. But that doesn't mean I can't carry on with my novel.
And they're back at it. These guys are really into this.
Okay, bye.
Oh, so sorry. Look at us, prattling on about our projects and ignoring you. Thank you so much for the...
You're welcome. See ya.
Keep us in the loop if you find out anything else.
Will do.
We haven't officially seen his outfit reveal yet. I'm pretty excited about it.
Nahida, we're here.
Traveler, Paimon, how have you been?
Ugh, where to start? Paimon hasn't had a moment's rest this whole time. That night, we ended up chatting until suddenly the sun was up. And then she decided she wanted to go to Inazuma.
The Balladeer? It sounds like some kind of code name. You look troubled. Is there something you need to tell me?
What? But he probably just erased that form of himself. She could probably talk to her, Nahida, and like get her to remember him as someone else.
Traveler?
Hey, what's wrong? You look so upset.
There are things that happen that only I can remember. Yeah, and knowing that is like... that's a heavy thing to try to deal with. There you go. There was once one named the Balladeer, created by the Electro Archon. He was a puppet who lived among men. After a series of events in Tarotsana, the Balladeer, thinking he had been thrice betrayed, left Inazuma to roam the world beyond. With no trust for humans and only loathing for the gods, he bore his grudge for years as he grew in strength, then returned to Inazuma to take his revenge. He tried in vain to become the deity with a gnosis and ended up losing everything. Finally, he entered Irminsul and learned of the truth behind his betrayal. Knowing now that his entire life was built on lies, he did the unthinkable in an attempt to reverse his tragic fate.
That's quite a story. So, this puppet known as the Balladeer erased himself from Irminsul, hoping that he could change the past.
But how was he even able to do that?
As the traveler said, he very nearly became Sumeru's deity. Admittedly, I remember it a little differently. I don't recall finding anyone inside the machine after we defeated it. Nevertheless, it does make sense. If someone were to successfully erase themselves from Irminsul, the world would change to reflect the new reality.
So, you believe this person really existed, and we just don't remember him because, well, because he literally changed the world?
Yes. Theoretically speaking, it is possible to do this. But I'm struggling to imagine the kind of person who would dare go through with it. The Traveler comes from a world beyond Vivat. That's why there's no information about her in Irminsul. And it also explains why any changes to Irminsul wouldn't affect her. So if there's anyone in the world capable of retaining memories from a past that has been rewritten, it's you. It's quite incredible when you think about it.
Paimon's having a hard time understanding this Balladeer guy's motivations. Why did he do it?
I can only make inferences based on the information we've been given. As for what kind of person he was, only you remember that.
It doesn't matter. Did he want to reset everything? I mean, wouldn't you? Or save someone? Everything can be set right. It's time to solve this once and for all. Yeah, he wanted to undo it. He wanted to undo as much as he could, I think. I hesitated because I witnessed Greater Lord Rukkhadevata erase her own existence, but I can't tell Nahida that. To put it another way, I know why the Balladeer was so sure it would work.
Something else worrying you? Something that you can't share?
He chose such a radical option, and yet...
It couldn't change the fate of the ones who had died, right?
Right. Oh, I didn't know that he couldn't change the fate of the ones who died. Is that consistent with the other people? I mean, I guess so.
Once the Balladeer realized he hadn't been betrayed after all, it must have completely changed his view of the people of Tatarasuna. Now he saw them as friends again. He couldn't keep hating humans after that. And if he thought there was a chance he could save his old friends, it would be hard not to try. The story makes sense. Every part of it. The Balladeer tried to achieve godhood with the Doctor's help. He was unsuccessful, but retained the power to connect with Irminsul. That power then enabled him to change what was recorded in Irminsul and erase himself, even though he didn't have much strength left.
Yeah, it does make sense, but it still ended in tragedy for his friends. It just feels so hopeless. He gave everything to do this, but it seems like he got nothing in return.
So those fated to die couldn't be saved. What exactly did he want to fight back against? Well, I think...
Please wait a moment. I want to check something. Found it. This should be the one. It turns out that I have a strange way of confirming everything she has told us.
I thought so!
What is it? A record from a personal collection. It was tucked away in a corner. You should take a look.
The information is presented to you in a way that you see a fairy tale.
Who wrote it?
This matches everything I said.
I authored this record myself.
Huh? You wrote a fairy tale that somehow has something to do with the Balladeer?
When combined with the Traveler's narrative, it's clear that this story is an allegory. Everything in it is a symbol for something else.
Hold on. So this record survived from the past?
Yes. Any information about the Balladeer or the Kabukimono and other records will have been changed. But I wrote this story in a way that means it was left intact. Changing the information in Irminsul changes to that. But Irminsul can't change information that was well hidden in advance. I guess I must have written this story as a backup before the Balladeer entered Irminsul.
Nice.
That's incredible! What a great idea!
And sending the Traveler into Irminsul with the Balladeer must have been a further precaution. I knew she'd remember everything. This story is abstract enough that it still resonates with the present information recorded in Irminsul.
Wow.
But if we connect all the different pieces together, the true story that emerges is the one she told us. The now erased life of the Balladeer. There was once a lone monster draped in fox fur. The monster found a family of foxes, joined them, and they became friends. The monster lived with the family day and night, and everyone treated it as one of their own. Once in a while, the monster would take off its fox fur at night and lament to itself as it gazed at its reflection in the water. I am a monstrosity, yet they are too foolish to see it. I pity them. But the monster soon found solace when another came to live among the foxes who was not their kin. A kitten, carved from the wood of a white tree who had been abandoned by the humans. The kitten too wished to become a fox, but its tail was too slender and it could not grow a coat of richly colored fur. Yet when the other foxes saw this, they spoke words of comfort to the kitten. Even without a tail and fur like ours, you are still one of us. Furious at this happy resolution, the monster lit a fire on the mountain. The terrified animals panicked as the fire spread. The only way to extinguish the flames was to make a sacrifice. A gray fox stood up and addressed the monster. It said, "You are the cleverest among us. Surely you can help us find a way to solve this." The monster smiled, led the fox toward the fire, and murdered it. The gray fox's heart was turned into a beautiful drop of water, clear, spotless, and pure. The monster gave the heart of water to the kitten, telling him, "The foxes have decided. You are the one who must be sacrificed. Take this, quench the flames, and die for your fox kin." The fire was extinguished, but the kitten lived. It left that side of the mountain and found a little bird who had a broken wing. The two promised they would spend their whole lives together, but the little bird did not have long left to live. It passed away soon after. After burying the bird, the kitten left the mountain for good. Never again would it cherish a single creature, nor a single blade of grass that stood on that mountain. The kitten spent the nights wandering aimlessly, gnashing its teeth at the moon. How it wished to swallow the moon and devour the moonlight. If the world could only return to darkness, then it would finally be peaceful and content. I will become the new moon, the answer to everything. Then, no one will know that there were once birds, foxes, and cats in this world. And no one can know that they were different.
We solved it!
not just the Balladeer story. It is his very own memories. I made a backup so that it would be preserved no matter what happened. To become a god, he was experimented on and modified countless times. It was brutal torture, and the only reason he was able to survive is that he was a puppet. This memory was extracted from him by the scholars. Presumably, they kept it to have something to defend themselves with. Creating a deity was just the first step. Some of them wanted to be able to control it. That's why they backed up his memory for later use. I buried it deep inside one of my own dreams, and then hid it inside an allegorical story so that it wouldn't be altered.
Ooh, that's important.
It's hard to believe that this person really existed, let alone that he tried to get rid of us on more than one occasion. Paimon has no memory of him at all. He completely vanished like a puff of smoke.
The Balladeer agreed to help me look for information about the Descenders, and although he was unsuccessful, he still helped you. Before he vanished, he confirmed an important detail, that Conria was where your twin first came into this world. We still don't know how the change to Irminsul will affect the senior ranks of the Fatui, but in all likelihood, they won't even remember their own Harbinger.
Not unless they're looking for it. And none of them seem very emotionally attached to it, so I guess they would just assume not think much of it at all. Never had this feeling before. It feels like life is as insignificant as a feather. I guess I don't go that far.
It sounds like Paimon wouldn't like this guy a whole lot if he was still around. But still, Paimon doesn't like the way it all ended that much better.
This is why wisdom alone cannot answer all our questions. We look, we see, and we comprehend, but the question still troubles us. So the answer is not everything. People yearn to find the truth and then conquer the troubles they face. When you give someone the truth, you give them a chance to choose their own destiny. To others looking on, this may seem like a pointless endeavor, but for him, the chance to act on his desire to disappear must have meant a lot. Never forget that even when we walk beneath dark clouds along a road filled with suffering, the light of wisdom is always there, guiding us toward a better destination. And that is what you have been doing all along.
Yeah, Nahida's right. Cheer up. How about we go get something to eat? We can pick up this heavy conversation again later.
Good idea. Paimon, why don't you take her out for a walk to clear her head?
You got it! Come on, traveler! You need to get out of your head for a while. You'll feel much better after taking a walk.
Good life advice.
Let's go one of the stalls in the Grand Bazaar. That'll be sure to lift our spirits.
There's a part where Nahida says, even though all the record of this person in Irminsul was erased and I don't remember him, meaning I don't recall him, meaning I don't know who you're talking about right now, but what you're saying is making sense because she's the god of wisdom, so she put it together with logic, but then later she was able to find out really what happened by inferring from a deeply coded backup memory in the visual form of a music box, which I thought was cute. She said that since she saved it in her dreams in a way that she could understand, right? It wasn't for work, it was just for her own retelling, you know, just like a prayer or a poem or a tattoo maybe even might be just, it was just for her. She was able to decipher the meaning because she's really smart, but also like, I like that they did the retelling of it. We got to see Scaramouche viewed as the kitten. So well retold, but remember, no one can remember who the Balladeer is. So the name is gone, the facts are gone. However, that story is not gone. Whew, we are still in the Inversion of Genesis Interlude Chapter, Act 3. Which is technically an Archon Quest, but it's not about an Archon. It is the Interlude. It's the in-between parts. And we're learning more, of course, about the world of Teyvat through the Wanderer. Is this real life or is it just fantasy? Indeed. Dude, I'm telling you, they designed Bohemian Rhapsody just like the song. I'm telling you, man. Caught in the landslide, no escape from reality. My mind is blown, right? Open your eyes. Look up at the sky, which is supposedly false, and see. But what they're saying is, see with your third eye, right? Your third eye is your intuition. Or your dreams. Or like that little funny feeling you get before something bad happens. That's supposed to be like your third eye. It's like that. You're like your spidey senses, right? It's your third eye. So even if your name and your whole family gets deleted from the computer and you get brainwashed and everything, you always still have your gut. You always still have your third eye. Saying, I have so many thoughts about Bohemian Rhapsody and how it's connected with The Wanderer, and I'm just enjoying it so much. Okay.
We're here! What should we eat first? Hey, are you gonna answer or what? Alright, whatever you want. Well, Paimon will be right here when you figured stuff out. Then we can get something to eat. What is it? Have you figured it all out?
Yes, that was it. Great Lord Rukadevada. She said no one can erase themselves from existence, not even her. That's what I'm saying, is like, even if you delete it from the system, there will always be like other elements that have just been affected because there's just ripples that you're probably not going to consider.
Why'd you jump up all of a sudden?
I can't tell Paimon, she doesn't know. But this is crucially important detail. It's simply not possible for the Balladeer to completely erase his own existence, in which case, what happened to him?
Excuse me, boss. There seems to be a small problem with the last bill. Look, here.
The review! He has a new outfit!
Hey! Hey, wait!
You mean me?
No, not you. That kid. Didn't you see? Little rascal grabbed my last 2 fresh Sunsettias and ran off. Look, if you're gonna help out here, you can't keep spacing out, okay? What is it? Work's too boring for you? Or has the big city got too many distractions?
I wasn't paying close enough attention. Sorry, boss. I think you're right. Maybe it's the city. It's so exciting. It can be hard to focus.
Who's that guy? You know him or something?
That guy is the Balladeer.
He's who?
You're a strange one, kiddo. You say you don't want any money for helping out here, and then when I actually give you some work to do, you keep letting yourself get distracted. I don't want to take advantage, so I'm happy to pay you what I'd pay anyone else. But if you keep acting like this, pretty soon I won't be able to afford to.
No, please. I mean it. You don't need to pay me anything. I'm just so thankful you agreed to take on an outsider like me.
You're welcome, I guess. But I got bigger things to worry about. Look, we're all out of Sunsettias, and I promised the lady down the street I'd deliver a fruit bowl this evening.
Leave it to me. I'll find some more. Just a moment. I'll be right back.
Stop. I'm gonna level with you, kiddo. I've never met a worker who said they didn't want a wage before. And at first, I got greedy. Couldn't believe my luck. But I figured you'd start asking for something in return eventually. You don't want money. You don't take days off. And in your free time, all I see you do is wander around, taking in the sights. Are you a a drifter or something?
That's right, I am. We can talk more about that later. First, let me get those fruits you needed. Sunsetius, was it? I'll be right back.
Hey, what do we do now? Okay, stay out of sight. Don't let him see you.
Oh, this is weird. Okay, I'm gonna change his Ganyu setting.
It's time to apply for a new budget.
Yeah, this'll do.
Even though you say he's the Balladeer, what are we planning on doing? Stealing his Sunsetius? Isn't that a bit too cruel?
Why are you thinking that?
Oh, alright.
This should be enough. Ah, guess I should wash them before I take them back. Huh? You two over there. Is there something I can help you with?
He spotted us!
You've been following me all the way from the city. I'd have to be blind not to notice.
You're right, we were following you.
Have we met before? No, we haven't met. But you know me?
See, he's new, but he's not stupid.
I have no recollection.
It's complicated, but I know you.
Are you absolutely sure?
Sorry, but I just can't take your word for it.
I can prove it. You're a puppet.
A puppet? What makes you think that?
Huh?
You were right. The look on his face.
I guess you do know me after all. That is not something I share with a lot of people. Look, I'm just a wanderer. But seeing as you've gone through all this trouble to track me down, I'm sure whatever it is must be important.
There's somewhere I want to take you.
Okay, but please let me deliver these goods to my boss first.
Are you really working for that guy? He said you don't want any more for it. Is that true?
Yes, I ran into him out in the wilderness during a storm, and he let me take shelter in his cart. In return, I said I'd be his helper for a while.
In a storm.
That's oddly nice of you.
Let me take these back. Then I'll come with you, okay?
All right.
Then let's return to the city.
I mean, there's no way he's happy just doing that for right now, right? The only reason he'd be happy living a simple life like that is if he remembers the pain from his past and was exhausted. And I don't know that he is exhausted. He seems a little wiped.
Here you go, boss. I'll leave them right here.
Oh, you really went and picked some more. Who are these two?
Something's come up, and they need to borrow me. Sorry, boss. I'm afraid I'll be away from the stall for a while.
I was just about to pay you anyway. Go wherever you want, kid. Don't waste your time here.
What?
I get it, okay? You just wanted to help me out, to thank me for giving you shelter from the rain that day. Even then, I don't understand why you're so adamant that you don't want any pay for it. But look, it was pouring down, and there you were, sauntering along without a care in the world. Like you had nowhere to be, and didn't even care that it was raining. Imagine you were me for a second. It's a little weird, right? Why is this guy traveling during a rainstorm if he's not trying to get somewhere? And why is he taking a shortcut through the open country if he's not even in a hurry?
But anyway, taking you in didn't put me out even slightly. You don't owe me a thing for it. Certainly not all this. Your time is valuable. You know, you should go live your life.
But I don't...
He doesn't know what to do. Yeah.
No, you're right. Then I suppose this is where we say goodbye. Thank you again for taking me into the city.
Don't mention it, kiddo. I've run into all kinds of characters over the years.
His name is just Merchant.
I just hope you find your path.
He has no name.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, done. Thanks for waiting for me. We can go now.
Oh. Hey, Gameroy. The Wanderer and the Merchant. Yeah, I guess so. You would just think it'd be like, I don't know, Old Man Bob or something. Like you think they'd give him a name since they spent some time together. That's all right. Guess he's not meant to hold importance in the story.
We're way behind schedule.
Uh-oh, what do we got here?
Nahida! Nahida!
What's wrong? Huh? Are you?
Hello. I do apologize for the sudden intrusion.
We found this guy in the street, but he doesn't seem to remember anything. So, yeah, quite an eventful walk.
Interesting.
You say that you are trekking across Teyvat to train yourself. Many other Inazumans who describe themselves in this way call themselves Shugenja. Why do you refer to yourself as a wanderer?
Well, it seems more relevant in my case. To me, it sounds like a plant with no roots.
An air plant?
But these two claim that they know me, and that I have a hidden past unknown even to myself.
Dandelion seed.
I wouldn't call it the past, but rather... this is a difficult one to explain. I don't like to rely on using terms like this often, but in your case, it seems that it ought to be called previous incarnation.
Oh, like a past life or something?
Yes, something far more distant than the past. So far away that you cannot perceive it.
Okay, I have to ask. What was I like in my previous incarnation? Oh, okay. I see. You want to tell me.
Sometimes it'd be
You
like
can't
that.
bring yourself to say it. Looks like I didn't have the most wonderful existence in my previous incarnation.
Yeah, that's why you gotta die sometimes.
If it's that difficult to talk about, I have no doubt it will be just as difficult to hear. But I'll be able to handle it. Please, tell me the truth.
Is truth something you care a lot about?
Yes.
Then I'll be straight with you. In your previous incarnation, you did many things that would be considered evil. You nearly died because of what other people did. And many died because of you. As a non-human being, you hated gods and humans alike. You drifted from place to place, never able to settle, even where you found status and identity. You adamantly believed that you were missing a heart. Actions rooted in persistence sometimes bear bitter fruit. Sometimes, you have to let parts of yourself go, or you'll never be happy.
It's a good lesson.
I gave everything I had, but it barely changed history at all.
In terms of the outcome alone, that's true.
I don't think I can judge everything I've heard purely in terms of right and wrong. Each choice a person makes belongs to a specific place and time, a chain of cause and effect. A cycle of karma and consequence.
That is the nature of truth. If one thing is right, its opposite must be wrong. And yet, dichotomies like this are not enough to explain the world in all of its complexity.
It seems like my previous incarnation wasn't the most likable individual.
We're not trying to hurt your feelings or anything, but yeah, we weren't your biggest fans.
We were each other's enemies.
If we were enemies, why are you trying to help me find the truth?
This is so frustrating! This guy's supposed to be our arch enemy, but now he's just some random stranger we met on the street! He's got so much to answer for, but we can't make him talk because he doesn't remember anything. What a weird situation.
Lesser Lord Kusanali, as the god of wisdom, I trust that everything you told me must be true.
Yes, it's all true. I can even show you the memories themselves, if you're willing.
Please, I want to see them for myself. I want to experience my own transgressions.
Even though it will cause your present self great mental anguish?
Yeah, why would you do that?
I'm just a puppet. With no heart and no name. There is nothing in this world for me to cling to. To fill the void within me. Except maybe these sins that can never be undone.
I don't think that's a good thing to fill it with, I feel like.
As you wish.
Wait, shouldn't we go with him? This one's kind of on us for bringing him here.
Don't worry. Whatever danger I might face, it's my burden to bear.
Traveler, could I ask you to supervise him on my behalf?
Oh, good
Sure.
point. Given your, unique situation, we'd better keep an eye on you.
Not that we can do that, apparently, but sure.
Understood.
We can act like it.
Thank you. Now, prepare yourselves, everyone.
Okay. And here we go. The memories of a certain puppet.
This looks like Inazuma.
Right now, you're in a dream I created using information extracted from your memories. These memories will show you the raw truth, but be aware that enemies may react just like in the real world. Please be careful.
Sounds like an immersive experience.
You don't need to do this for me. I don't deserve your protection.
We never give up halfway. Well, we had to once, but that was your doing.
All right. Thanks.
Wanderer, this is the Shake Pavilion. In your Balladeer incarnation, this is where the Electro Archon placed you after your creation. You had a great many memories here.
Is that because this is kind of like his birthplace?
You could say that, in a sense. You'll see why shortly.
Oh!
I hear footsteps.
This place is huge. I can't believe the landslide didn't fill it in. I wonder who built it. The Crystal Marrow Miners? No, there's no way. Look at this exquisite construction
him.
work, and so well preserved, too. No mining crew would be capable of this. There's someone passed out on the ground.
Who are you?
You're awake. What happened? How'd you get stuck here? Are you injured? Huh. Not a scratch. And these fine clothes. Who are you?
This man is Katsuragi, deputy to Torichiyo's adopted son, Mikoshi Nagamasa. He found the Balladeer in Shake Pavilion and took him back to Tatarasuna.
And the rest is history. Well, it used to be.
In the original version of events, Katsuragi was ultimately killed by Nagamasa.
Let me get you out of here. Our people are nearby. Hang in there.
During the Tatarasuna incident, Niwa was murdered by the doctor, disguised as a mechanic. The Balladeer, then known as the Kabukimono, disappeared not long after. As the second in command at Tatarasuna, responsibility for what had happened fell to Mikoshi Nagamasa. But Katsuragi had sworn lifelong loyalty to Nagamasa after the latter had once saved his life. At Katsuragi's insistence, Nagamasa killed him to put an end to the Tatarasuna incident.
Katsuragi seems like he was a good guy.
He looks like a warrior, but he has a kind face. Why couldn't he live a long and happy life?
Oh, there's a hole. I'm like, where does it want me to go? Twaisho.
Nagamasa, I found this young guy in a cave sealed off by a landslide. He doesn't remember his name.
Well, we need to call you something. I hear the workers are calling you the Kabukimono.
It's fine with me.
Katsuragi, report to Niwa. Tell him we have someone new joining us.
Oh, this reminds him of when he worked at the Delusion Factory. It was all the electricity underneath. I don't know what point that was, but... Or if he knew it was a Delusion Factory when he went there originally. Holy moly. That scared me.
Huh? What are we doing back here?
I hear voices.
Whoa, this is where you were born? It's pretty, but there's nobody here.
I was abandoned, like you.
Uh-oh.
I lived here for a while at first, but there's nothing for us here. We can't stay.
Okay. I heard my mom and dad used to make swords, but the factory manager died, and then my dad got sick. He kept coughing all the time, just like me. Then Mom started coughing too.
But you can't. You promised me.
Yup, we're family now. We're gonna be together forever and ever.
This child didn't have a name. Or rather, the Balladeer didn't know what to call him. His father died before he could name him. After his mother died, the child stayed in their straw hut alone. Some of the neighbors helped to raise him. After leaving Tatarasuna, the Balladeer ran into this child who didn't have a name, just like him. They made a promise to live together.
What happened to the child then?
He died from his illness while he was still very young. The Balladeer came home one day and found that he had stopped breathing.
Hey! What's wrong? Say something! You promised me we could be family!
You're no different from Niwa and all the others. You betrayed me too. The voices have gone. It looks like the memory ends here.
Let's keep going.
You do realize you're blocking my path.
I come not to obstruct you. I've been waiting. What you are truly is a weapon. One that could be wielded with an iron will. Or you could continue to drift aimlessly.
Are you trying to win me over?
Long-fated rebellion has begun. Why not take your place at the banquet and join those who shall feast?
The banquet, huh? Is that what we saw at the Saritsa funeral?
I am sorry.
Solidify!
Let the show begin.
Let's end this quickly! I guess this is it.
Oz, reveal thyself!
I'll protect us. Access denied.
That seemed to work.
By royal decree.
It really helps when you're a lot shorter than the other enemy.
Let's dance. No touching.
Go, Barbara, go! We've got Crystal Marrow in here. Okay. So this is what it was like when he first came to the Fatui, I guess. Or memories of it.
This place is dark.
Paimon knows this place. It's the Delusion Factory in Inazuma.
In the original version of events, the Traveler once encountered the Balladeer here.
Such a creepy atmosphere. And so familiar.
You don't remember it? I remember this. It was an unsettling place, yeah.
Hey,
the Traveler's head got messed with here.
Well, well, my fair lady. Is this rundown factory and these incompetent fools all for me? Wow. You shouldn't have.
Huh. What do you have to gain from belittling your subordinates? You might not want to admit it, but you are a part of this plan. Perhaps you find fighting in the Abyss to be a more meaningful use of your time? Oh, but of course, even this pales in comparison to being experimented on by the Doctor.
What a sharp tongue you have. Funny how negotiating never seems to be your strong suit. For the task ahead, I suggest you keep your true feelings to yourself.
Save your breath. I know what I have to do.
I'm sure you think so, but I still think you need to hear it. Don't start thinking you're invincible, and don't let your emotions get in the way.
Surely you're not worried about me.
I just can't have you getting in my way. You and Child never fail to find ways to complicate things.
I'm merely lighting a little fire in this chaotic nation. But you, being tossed out like trash, must make you want to destroy it completely. Do you remember the last time you were here? That was a lot of swordsmiths you killed. I'm sure the descendants of the Raiden Gokaden are still suffering the consequences now. Look at you. Oh, don't get so sentimental. Now, give that poor little tongue of yours a rest and stop pretending like you're above everyone else. Bye then. See you at the victory feast.
Oof.
Poor little tongue? She's playing with fire talking to me like that. Who does she think she is? Forget it. Someone might find me here any minute now. I should prepare to give them a warm welcome.
The plot does not end here. There is more of this story to come. Wanderer, are you able to continue?
Yes. Please don't worry about me.
Why are you staring at me in silence?
Oh, is this part of his training?
Can't you think of a nicer way to express yourself?
I'm under no obligation to be nice to you. Besides, I thought nothing mattered to you except results and your own interests. Isn't that right, witch?
Muddle-headed puppet. You're only number 6 because you can take more abuse than other humans. Do you really count that as an asset?
You're about as much fun to be around as a raging inferno. But before we murder each other, it'd be best if we finish our duties.
Why are we fighting a mirror maiden instead of Senora right now then?
Gather.
I mean, I don't mind.
We can do it.
I'm just like, did history get changed?
Protect us.
Because we know what it's like to fight La Senora.
Out of my sight.
It just makes me wonder if the Mirror Maiden doesn't have something to do with this story. Or maybe they're just merely showing us all the Batuis that survived the history rewrite.
Looks like we've arrived in Sumeru. Is that?
Considering that Amorta's sage, Nafis, refused to join this project, I'll take part in the experiment in his place.
Welcome. I look forward to a fruitful collaboration.
Uh-oh, this is how he
When do we
first meets
start?
him?
You seem impatient. You should know that becoming a god is far from a trivial affair.
The biological transformation is a lengthy process. As such, I too would recommend that we commence as soon as possible. In the event that a successful connection is established, his body will become permanently bound to the machine, and he will be unable to move independently of it.
I knew it.
Nothing worse than what I've been through before then, Doctor.
You were the most resilient test subject I ever came across. Thanks to you, I was able to garner a great deal of information. Alas, after that, you were under orders to remain in the abyss. We barely saw each other, and it became difficult to further refine the knowledge I had gained.
That was gracefully worded. Ever wonder what they think if they knew that nothing matters to you, apart from your crazy experiments?
I suggest you speak to me in a more respectful tone, Scaramouche. The mere fact of your utility does not make you indestructible.
The doctor again? That was uncomfortable to watch.
That person gives off a very sinister energy.
He's the doctor. He's behind all of this.
It's normal for him to give you the creeps. He scares the bejeebers out of Paimon.
Let's move on.
You're a god. Do you think I'm evil?
If you accept that he is you, just as you are you, then yes, you are evil.
In your eyes, are there any differences between humans and puppets?
Do you think there are any differences between your present self and your previous and future incarnations?
Good question.
If not, then what are the differences between humans and puppets?
Oh!
Whoever has tasted the joys and sorrows of life in the human realm is human. Whoever has loved and lost, cried with grief, howled with rage at the tragedy of death that eclipses the miracle of life, they are human too.
I've seen enough of my past. If possible, I'd like to reclaim the sins that are mine to bear. No matter the consequences, I won't run from blame or punishment. Whatever I am due, let it come to pass.
No matter the consequences, I won't run from blame or punishment. Well, that's certainly one way to take accountability for your actions. Damn. And he is a reborn. Are you saying...
Can you return my memories to me?
Oof.
But won't that mean you'll lose your current identity?
I've always believed that human lives follow a set of rules. With each person being a collection of past experiences. As a puppet living in a human world, my life is subject to the same rules.
Regaining your memories means reverting completely to your previous incarnation. All the emotions that you discarded will return to you. Are you sure you want to do this?
I've lived with the void in my chest my whole life. My creator didn't need me. And ever since I awoke, I've just drifted from one place to the next. But then I met you. And I finally realized that reclaiming my missing sins might be my one opportunity to become my true self. I've always felt I have an innate tendency to yearn for something more, in a way that goes deeper than for most people. But for all my soul-searching as a Shugenja, I've never fully understood it. Looking at it now, it seems that I brought this curse upon myself. So I beg you, grant me this opportunity to gain a purpose, to change my destiny, and end my wandering.
Very well. Since your mind is made up, I will return to you that which is yours. You have made your decision. Now, take this.
Set him free.
A puppet? What's he doing here? You're a human as far as I'm concerned.
Everyone's here. Wonderful.
What a fine blade. Nagamasa will be thrilled.
This is my...
Is he alright?
All worthless dross will be purged. That's why this won't be the end.
Yeah, buddy! Oh, that was trippy. Talk about holding space for yourself.
Balladeer?
And a vision appeared. The moment he had an ambition to save himself. By dying. Cool.
This is trying my patience.
Have you got all your memories back now?
Have you got any more stupid questions?
Insignificant past!
Behold! Search for it!
Perish!
Wind rises. How amusing. My endless cycle begins!
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Insignificant pest!
They gave me my energy back again. Oh, okay. Please die, please die, please die, please die, please die, please die.
Bow your head.
Everlasting Lord of Arcane Wisdom.
Imbecile! Get out of my sight.
It disappeared.
Interesting.
Did we win?
What did you expect? I'd never lose to that.
Your old self.
There's the tone of voice again. You're definitely back to your old self.
Yep, his identity is back, but with less ego.
Wait, but it was you inside that thing too. What have you got to be smug about?
Sorry. I'm harsh on myself and everyone else. Just the way I am.
Now that you've recovered your memories.
You sound like you're concerned about me. But don't worry. Thanks to you, even if I didn't change a thing, at least I now know the truth.
The memory recovery seems to have been a success. This dream has served its purpose.
Come on. Let's continue this outside.
I mean, we just got to see him get his vision. I mean, that's pretty freaking cool. Leave the memory. All right.
Welcome back, traveler. Paimon, Balladeer.
It feels like we just went on a really long journey. Paimon's exhausted.
You don't like being addressed by that name?
It's fine. But I was just thinking, I should probably change it.
He does certainly sound older. The voice actor's so good. You won't go by the Balladeer anymore?
After learning about everything the doctor did, there's no way I can carry on using a name connected to him.
Good.
I'm not planning on returning to the Fatui, and they wouldn't take me back anyway. Recent events will have affected a lot of people, and they might not even remember who the Sixth is.
He came to the same conclusion we did.
You're quitting the Fatui for good?
Let's call it a tactical retreat. Nice.
It's like you said, Lesser Lord Kusanali. Everything may look futile, but it wasn't completely meaningless. At least I made a lot of people forget about me.
But that doesn't mean your own past has disappeared.
Of course.
And your main goal, for which you gave up everything you had, you weren't able to achieve it. I hope you can see and understand that. Changing the world, changing the past, changing the fates of other people, these are not simple things to accomplish. What you are looking for is complete annihilation. But this is just a fantasy. Even if the Balladeer is removed from existence, the world will not heed your will.
Indeed. How ridiculous.
Do you regret doing all that when you've gotten so little in return?
Even if I'm completely worthless, there's nothing in the world worth regretting. Lesser Lord Kusanali, you purposely left that information in Irminsul, didn't you?
Yes, and I took pains to make sure that you'd acquire that information naturally.
Why would you go to such lengths? You trying to win me over too?
She's
In all
wise.
honesty, your past experiences have made you a useful asset to Sumeru and to me. Winning you over was indeed a part of my plan. But before that, I wanted to tell you the truth about your past. If all I wanted to do was use you, then I'd be no different from the doctor.
Yeah, she let you make your own
Very
decisions
clever.
and come to your own conclusions.
I guess you could say that's one of my virtues.
Utility to others is what gives me worth. So if embracing my sins is what it takes to make me useful again, so be it.
Spoken like a warrior. Nahida doesn't see you that way.
Oh, right. I almost forgot. You're the good guys. You're into justice and all that. Sorry if I have a slightly different perspective on things, but I don't feel like I've been duped. The wisest leaders are fated to end up with the best helpers. I can live with that.
I'm glad you're able to think of it in that way. Traveler, in the future, I'll continue to search Irminsul more deeply and see what secrets can be uncovered, including the beginning of your twins' journey recorded in Irminsul. What exactly happened before and after that point? I want to know as well.
Thank you.
I will try.
Traveler. After I dove into the information torrent in Irminsul, why did you go to Inazuma? So that's how you found out whose fate had changed. And how? Well, whatever your reasons, you did me a favor. And I'll do everything I can to pay it back.
I didn't do it for a reward.
Borrowing and returning are the only real relationships between individuals. I'll balance the books one day. Don't you worry.
That's not true. A relationship between two people is not simply a ledger that can be reset to zero. I think deep down you realize this. People who show up in your life don't just evaporate like water drops and leave nothing behind. There is no such thing as balancing the books. Some things in this world can never be brought back, and they can never be changed, which is why there is emotion in the human world. Everything that you feel is real and lasting, and whatever is missing in you will not be made whole. To be human is to live with imperfections. You can choose whether or not you want to be human.
But humans can't live without a heart, can they? Anyway, I gave up trying to become a human a long time ago.
You understand what pain is perfectly well, even without a heart. You're just bearing your feelings. The past is set in stone, but you can keep moving on. And the longer your future lasts, the shorter your past will become, until one day, it is but a tiny fraction of your life.
Sounds like you've got a future planned out for me.
Yep.
Everything's ended up being pretty darn complicated. Paimon doesn't even know where to start, but the most important thing now is that you need to follow Nahida. Otherwise, all our efforts will have been for nothing.
He needs time to process.
Then I guess I'll be helping you from behind the scenes from now on.
I'm glad that you've accepted our proposal. Why don't you choose a new name to celebrate?
There you go.
Ooh! Paimon wants to pick an ugly nickname for you, too.
Why?
Because Paimon still doesn't like you that much.
Then I hope we don't see much of each other in the future.
A name is life's first gift. You didn't say it out loud, but I know that's what you're thinking. The Traveler and Paimon have helped you a lot. If you can't decide on a new name, maybe you can ask them for ideas.
No! Paimon only does nicknames. If it's a serious name you're after, it's all yours.
I'm gonna call him Freddy. Is Freddy 1Y? 1D? 1D? 2Ds? Oh, DDIE. Got it. Free Die, of course. Of course, Die isn't his name. Freddy. Alright.
Are you sure?
Lots of people are calling him Fujin, but I thought he would want to be separate from his past, too. Galileo, too. I had a teddy bear once named Freddy. Freddy Teddy! Cute. Yeah, no, I like it. Like Freddie Mercury, like the lead singer in a band. That's rock and roll. That's your name. I mean, I like Wanderer too, but it's a little less specific, so. Plus, whenever I talk about this character, I end up talking about Bohemian Rhapsody anyway, so I think that'll work.
Oh, all right. If you say so.
There. Now you have a name of your own.
We can always rename ourselves.
What about a nickname? Are you done yet?
Still thinking. Stop rushing me.
Take your time. I don't need to see you again until you've thought of one. Everyone who manipulated me and made me suffer will have to pay the price.
You mean the Fatui?
The doctor, at least.
Now that your stance has changed, I believe your future path will change accordingly. But it won't be immediate. You still need some time to compose yourself.
One
Freddy.
more thing. There are still some descendants of the Raiden Gokuden living in Inazuma. Some of them know. Well, they ought to know about the connection between Raiden Gokuden and myself. I don't plan to leave Sumeru for the time being. If you see them in Inazuma, please tell them that I was the one responsible for the Raiden Gokuden's downfall. Even though the events have been erased from the world, they still deserve to know the truth.
I see. That is up to you.
Huh? But if we do that, then...
It's fine. Let them stab their blades into my chest if they so desire. Maybe that's how it always should have been.
Yeah, he's really not holding on to anything. All right.
What's that look for? Don't make that face. I know what I'm doing. That day will come. All right. We're done here. Goodbye, wise deity. And you too.
He's gone.
What he went through today would have been like living an entire lifetime in an instant. He'll need some time to calm down.
Yeah, true. But even so, after everything that's happened, he doesn't seem quite as fierce anymore. So we can finally go eat? Paimon is starving.
Thank you both. I hope you will find somewhere nice to go and relax for a while.
I've got it! I can end my novel with some words from Mikoshi Nagamasa.
You mean because everyone else in the story is dead?
Wow.
Yeah, I heard that Mikoshi Nagamasa died at a ripe old age. He's the perfect fit to be the narrator of the epilogue. The dark clouds had dissipated, but they continued to cast their shadow in Mikoshi Nagamasa's mind for decades to come. Then, one night, as an old man, he had a dream. On the night when that prized blade, the Daitatara Nagamasa, was forged, the people rejoiced, and there was painting, dancing, and drinking.
Dancing?
All these expressions of joy melted down in the furnace fire and turned into red clouds that rallied around the final sunrise that Mikoshi Nagamasa saw in his lifetime. Life is a story too long to be told, a journey that you must walk to behold.
Carry on my wayward son. What's the next song? As though morning dew. Oh, as fresh as morning dew. Interesting. Coincidentally, Zephyr is another name of a song. Oh, I didn't know that! That's a good one. So you gave him a new song. I like it. Killer Queen would have also worked too. Okay, where... Sometimes I follow the mini-map and I'm like, I don't think that's the best way to do it. Okay, let me just go back here. Man, I want to play that song so bad now. Man, that entire song, Bohemian Rhapsody, really does, like, lay out this character's identity. It's crazy. And that song makes no sense! They did so good. Not that it doesn't make sense, but you know what I mean? Like, it upon first listen, it certainly isn't your average pop song.
It's about time we had a break. As soon as you stop, all the tiredness and hunger comes rushing back.
I'll buy some delicious treats as a reward.
Wow, great! Huh? Look at that vase. Did someone break it while they were cleaning the room or something? But Paimon doesn't remember there being a cleaner.
The night we stayed here, Paimon bumped into the table after being startled something to do with the Balladeer and broke the vase. But the Balladeer erased his existence. He changed the world, so why is the vase still broken? That's what I'm saying.
You sound lost and confused. I know why you are troubled. Any who knew of this would find their mind overwhelmed.
Huh? Is there someone here talking to us?
Unfortunately, the fate of Tevat cannot easily be changed. Perhaps a god may have a slim chance, but for anyone else, who can say? When a small animal runs into a tree trunk, though the tree may sway, it is not displaced. The same is true of fate, like a vase that falls to the ground. Whether it is broken by a cat or by a bird, the result is still a broken vase, is it not?
Who are you? How do you know about all this?
History does not change easily, but human hearts can. Believe your own eyes. Only that which you see is true. What is unseen is but an illusion.
The voice has disappeared. And who the heck was that? And what were they doing coming out of nowhere and saying all that scary stuff?
Believe my eyes. Does she mean I should trust my memories?
Anyway, that vase is still lying there broken on the ground. Should Paimon go get someone to clean it up? It feels wrong just leaving it there. Just a moment. Paimon will be right back.
Look up to the sky and sing. Ah! So good! So good! So good! An epileptic stroke. Wow. You guys, we died and we came back to life. We learned the meaning of... What did we learn the meaning of? I guess... giving everything up and doing things over again, I guess. We certainly experienced what it is to be wise and what it is to trust our logic, intuition, gut, and heart in different areas. We certainly did a good job exploring all of those themes.
It's so nice to de-stress.
And, yeah, I think with that, just do a little sit here. Just think about it for a minute. Don't know what happens, but it sounded epic. Yeah, man. So basically, I think what we learned that there's a lot of different ways to understand things outside of books and articles and even straightforward communication. We can learn things through stories. And I think that it reminds me a lot of the line, caught in a landslide, like that broken vase, even though what happened in that room when we broke the vase, we don't remember what it is, that broken vase is still there. meaning you can delete something, you can leave someone, you can end something, but the effects that the experience rippled is always going to be there. That's what I think it means. Man, trippy stuff. Like, so good. So much good stuff for my brain to chew on. Love it. Rebirth, yeah. In the theme of starting over from trauma, or starting over from crisis, or like they were saying, starting over from the 3 betrayals, and, you know, for a puppet or a husk of a human to really sit with everything that everything that's caused them pain and everything that's caused pain in the people of the lives that they've touched. Like, just sitting with that and being like, okay, like, what does it mean for me to be human? What does it mean for me to start over? What does it mean for me to have an ambition? What does it mean for me to have a life? Like, what is the point of my existence now? You know? Really important questions, you guys. So good. I was writing a song about this week about my mom. Oh, good. Do you think this is why the Raiden Shogun wanted to keep things the same forever? Scared of altering time and history? I think that Raiden Shogun is unfortunately weakest because she is the strongest. Being unyielding means you're also, the other end of the stick of that means being inflexible, which means you can miss things, right? You can wait too long or miss an opportunity or not understand the complexity of something because you're so busy with, you know, holding something else up. Her creation is a more flexible version of her because he gave himself up several times. Even though he didn't have a heart, he wanted to understand what it was like to be human, and he wanted to understand what the human experience was like several times now, as we can see. And so he's accepted his fate, and I think that's similar to the way the song goes. It's like, I don't want to die. Sometimes I wish I'd never been born at all. And then he sort of accepts it like, I gotta go. They're not gonna let me go. I gotta accept that if I get stabbed to death, I get stabbed to death. Like, I caused this damage, and I accept that. And I accept my fate. And then by doing that, he woke up with a completely new identity, basically being like, okay, now what? You know, just trying to process the now what of it. And to me, that's how the end of Bohemian Rhapsody ends. The song feels like Any Which Way the Wind Blows, you know? It's like just being like, now what? Like, just kind of getting up from crawling, just like, oh. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Raiden Shogun is a mechanical puppet made by the Raiden Shogun, who was a real-life god/human, who was the twin of the firstborn Shogun, who was the rightful heir. And that's who we're dealing with. It's a whole lot of story to chew on, indeed. If this is where I leave you in the replay of it, or at the end of a YouTube video, then thank you so much for watching. Please like the video if you liked it, and subscribe. And I look forward to playing through the next Archon Quest. Very much so.